I got you into a Remington party. What's my thanks? It's on the hallway carpet. I got paid in puke. Lick it up, baby. I got paid in puke.
Welcome to Paid in Puke, a podcast where three women with names discuss movies about something other than a man. Paid in Puke is hosted by Annie Malone, Christina Barr, and Jessica Baxter. It's also a spoiler-filled free-for-all. You've been warned. It's the Paid in Puke third annual podcast about the 95th Annual Academy Awards, which will take place at the Dolby Theater in Hollywood on Sunday, March 12th, 2023, 5 p.m. Pacific, on the American Broadcasting Company. Got a little carried away with the old-timey voice there. Yeah. Hosted by Jimmy Kimmel. And this episode is hosted by me, Jessica Baxter.
Me, Annie Malone.
And me, Christina Barr.
And our special guest. We're so thrilled to have this Oscar devotee and delightful human being back with us, Denise Rodriguez.
Yay!
Hello. All right, the nominations came out January 12th and were adorably presented by former Girls cast members Riz Ahmed and Allison Williams.
Riz, this is a delight. I don't want this to end. I have to say it's much easier working with you than Megan. She is tricky.
Yeah, I heard that she's tricky. But she's not around, is she? You promised me that she wouldn't be around?
Yeah. No, we should be good. We're good.
Okay, cool.
I love her.
Who notably...
Watching Girls right now,
Oh, gosh.
it's so good.
She's great. No, it's okay. She notably nailed the pronunciation of every nominee. That was a big deal.
She definitely clearly made a point of learning how names were pronounced before this, which nice touch.
Yeah. Surprisingly uncommon thing for some reason, but just a couple facts about this Academy Awards. Everything Everywhere All at Once received the most nominations with 11, including Best Picture, Best Actress, Michelle Yeoh, Best Supporting Actor, Ki-Hye Kwan, and Best Supporting Actress, Jamie Lee Curtis and Stephanie Hsu. It is followed closely by The Banshees of Inisherin and All Quiet on the Western Front, which each have 9 nominations. Other notable nods are Angela Bassett, the first Marvel actor to earn a nomination. Yeah, as Queen Ramonda in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And everyone in the Best Actor category, Brendan Fraser, Colin Farrell, Paul Mescal, Bill Nighy, and Austin Butler are all first-time nominees.
Oh, that's cool.
Also all white. Oh, not true.
Yes, I think that is true.
That actually is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I made a note of that.
All pretty Anglo. So, let's kick this off by talking about our snubs.
Snubs.
Oh, God, Nope. Nope, not nominated for anything at all.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but especially sound, right?
I mean, especially, I can't even say especially, because that's my number one snub.
Yeah.
I think that Nope is better than anything Steven Spielberg has ever made, even though it's sort of a tribute to Steven Spielberg. Instead, they like Steven Spielberg's own tribute to Steven Spielberg better. I think Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer both give flawless performances.
Sure.
Yeah, and the sound design and the creature design are also impressive, and I just love a Jordan Peele script. There's so many ways it should have been nominated. Complete snub.
Crazy.
Yeah, the acting was really great, and then, the visuals of, that creature, and he really researched sea creatures and went to some oceanographic, I don't know. He,
science.
He met with scientists to talk about these creatures and, make one, and I just really liked that movie a lot. I saw it twice in the theater. It was great the first time, but, going the second time, it was, even more exciting. I don't know. It was just one of those movies that got better for me. It was so good.
Absolutely.
I did not see that one because I am a wimp, and anything that's really scary is hard for me. So, in fact, Get Out, knowing that it was a horror movie, I had to go on Wikipedia and read ahead of time what the plot was so that I could assess whether I would be able to survive, and decided that I could. So if Nope had been nominated, I would have had to go and spoil myself completely in order to just be like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm scared. I thought Viola Davis That's one also everyone's kind of talking about what a snub that was. I mean, there's a difference between, okay, I'm going to just clarify one thing. There's a difference between a snub and just kind of not getting nominated.
Yeah.
You know,
totally.
Somehow, there were a lot of things that people were talking about getting nominated and then they just didn't. And the one that I keep thinking about is The Unbearable Weight of Immense Talent. When that came out, people were like, oh yeah, this is going to get an Oscar nomination.
Wow. I missed that discourse for some reason.
I just like went back and Googled because I'm like, I thought I remembered that, and I found like the old articles from when the movie came out earlier in 2022. So yeah, that was one. But yeah, I know Viola Davis is the one everyone's talking. And Danielle Deadwyler, who played Emmett Till's mom, which leads me to no black actors nominated in the leading role categories.
Yes, or black films, really.
And also no female directors. That I feel like was a snub because there were quite a few films that were directed by women. And even Sarah Polley, you know, her film is nominated for some things, but...
Yeah, but not directing. Yes.
Not directing.
Once again, cue Natalie Portman.
And here are the all-male nominees.
I just feel like that movie did not have a lot of support behind it. I didn't watch it, but I'm surprised it got a Best Picture nomination.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there was a lot of support behind that movie.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, I'm just like a movie fan, so I want films that deserve it to get nominated, but I know that there's a whole machinery behind it and people are like actively campaigning, and you do kind of wonder if that film just wasn't promoted adequately. Like, not a single actress in that film got nominated for an acting role. That it was just literally like this super powerful acting the entire film. And these great powerhouse actresses, not one of them got nominated.
Yeah.
That felt weird. Maybe it's just they were all so good, it was hard for anyone to like pick one out of the bunch.
Right. It might be, it might be like too much of an ensemble or something.
Maybe. But yeah, that was kind of surprising. I was really hoping Goodnight Oppie would get nominated in the documentary category. It's about the Mars rover Opportunity. I was really excited about it, and then it didn't even make the long list in the documentaries. And I was like super shocked that happened. So, again, probably just like not good support.
Huh. I haven't even heard of it. Yeah, so it certainly wasn't promoted very much.
Oh, I have another one.
Yeah.
Eddie Redmayne. Okay, so I did not see this movie, but I was like Googling around on like who all everybody thought got snubbed. But Eddie Redmayne from The Good Nurse had BAFTA, Golden Globe, and SAG nominations.
Oh, wow.
And then did not get the Oscar. So that feels like, whoa.
Yeah.
All that momentum and recognition, and then just didn't get recognized with an Oscar nom. Also, Decision to Leave, which was Park Chan-wook.
That had a lot of buzz.
That had a lot of buzz, and then just didn't go anywhere. And then a lot of people said that RRR was expected to get a Best Picture nomination and was the most delightful film of the year, or the most most entertaining film of the year, and then it just got nominated for song.
Yeah, I had to look up what that was because I hadn't heard anything about it. So yeah, it is really interesting what has promotional backing and what doesn't. It doesn't seem to be based on merit alone, certainly. I was really surprised about Till, and I gotta confess that I haven't seen it because I expected it to be so gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm sure it'll get nominated because it's so important, but then, nope, they ignored it. I also really liked The Wonder, a Florence Pugh movie. There was early buzz about that. You know, it's a Catholicism is a cult film shot in Ireland by Sebastian Lelio, and screenplay would have been good. Acting would have been great, obviously. So I was really surprised about that.
I really liked that movie.
And I also realized I was like looking back at my list of movies that I gave 5 stars to in this last year, and one was 3,000 Years of Longing, which is George Miller's movie.
I still haven't watched that.
People love George Miller on paper, but then he doesn't get the accolades. It's really good. Tilda Swinton's amazing. Idris Elba's great. It's got a fantasy element to it, but it's also really existential. It's very good. It came out, and then it disappeared.
I kind of want to say that the Academy in general doesn't like things with a fantasy angle, but let's talk about that again. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
The Shape of Water, too. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like they're kind of unpredictable.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Should we talk about, like, the opposite of a snub? Like, what do we...
Surprises.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I have a couple of snubs.
Okay, go, yeah.
I really liked The Menu for screenplay. I thought that was an interesting story. And
That was a
also,
fun movie.
The Northman came out like in the beginning of the year, and like I'm kind of surprised it didn't get anything. I don't know, like Ethan Hawke, Nicole Kidman, and Alexander Skarsgård.
Skarsgård, yeah.
He was so good in it.
And those are all people who usually get
Yeah.
accolades.
Right, or even like costuming or something. I don't know. I was just surprised it wasn't in there. And then also Kimmy, I thought was really good. Like Soderbergh and Zoe Kravitz was great in it. And then Gina Prince Bythewood, who directed Woman King, I thought she was, and Charlotte Wells for After Sun.
Yeah.
Really
they
liked
got
that movie.
snubbed, and
I really like the direction of After Sun. Like, I thought it was absolutely riveting.
Lovely film.
And I think maybe she wrote it, like it was about her father or
Nice.
something. And I haven't seen it yet, but I know you guys liked it, so it sounds like really promising.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing where if a man had directed a movie about his complicated relationship with his dad, it'd be like, this is fucking great, this is genius. But a woman does it, and they're like, we'll give an acting nod to the male lead of the movie. That's the best we could do.
So, surprises?
Surprises.
I mean, I think the big surprise for everybody is Andrea Riseborough.
That's certainly a controversial surprise.
I so like that story, you know. I feel like it's just kind of funny that it's like, it's totally normal to campaign for a nomination, but not like that. Don't ask your friends to tweet about you, you know? It just seems so silly to me, like the Academy being like, don't ask your friends to.
Yeah.
Like, your film production company can spend, gajillions of dollars on
Yeah.
like,
Take
gift
out
bags
ads and
billboards.
billboards. Yes,
but
exactly. But
no
don't
word of
ask
mouth.
your famous friends to tweet about you.
Yeah.
Did she ask her famous friends? Or
I
were
mean, it's
they
a funny
like, this is
coincidence
really
that they all
great?
did that.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem coincidental to me just because I thought her performance was so freaking riveting and astounding and amazing. That performance was everything. And I almost felt like the sort of the shock of the Academy that they have to do an investigation is like an insult to what a great performance it was. And I could totally see other actors just watching it and being like, oh my God, this is really great acting, and being spontaneously motivated to like go and campaign for her.
Yeah, I could see that, but like I
Nothing.
feel like the way it played out, it didn't really seem spontaneous, you know, because that didn't happen for like literally anybody else. Just,
True.
like, that
True.
was- I think it's like insane that there was even like
An inquest. Yeah.
like, don't ask your friends to tweet. Like, these are insane, bizarre rules that it's fine. Yeah, send gift bags, buy billboards, buy ads.
Yeah.
Don't ask your friends to tweet
No
about
tweets. But no tweets.
Well, then when
I
they
think
did
she
look
deserved
into it, they're like, I guess there wasn't anything wrong, but we're
Right.
going to change the
It's
rules
ba-
next
right,
year.
It's basically like we didn't make a rule specific to that, but now we will.
Ugh.
That's very-
Why?
We
Why?
We decide what's good.
I guess
Not-
so.
Yeah, it really is like special interests really driving who's getting considered for these awards. It's kind of hard for me to say who I think is going to win anymore because I really just don't. I have no, like, who knows what they're into this year, or, you
Yeah.
know, like, Andrea Riseborough, that movie, she was so good in that. She really seemed like a woman in West Texas. Like, she really disappeared into the role for me. I don't know. I really liked it, and I don't know. It's like a movie from the 70s that, like, Gina Rollins or J.Lo Clayburgh would be starring in or something. It's like really has that kind of like old movie kind of thing.
And I feel like honestly, like how real her performance scenes is like highlighted by how unreal Mark Maron's performance is. It kind of ruins the movie.
Yeah, that accent was really...
I'm a guy in West Texas too. You know?
I know.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That movie
That
really
absolutely
took a turn
did
for
ruin
when
it
he
for me.
showed up with his choices.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
if he had just been...
He should have just done
himself.
his regular voice.
Yeah, it would have been better.
That was so distracting and goofy.
I
Yeah.
didn't even notice it.
Really?
Oh my God.
That
It was
is
like such a
fascinating.
hand flag. I'm a guy from the West Texas or wherever this movie takes place, and you're living on your boat.
Get out. Hey, come on. I just thought it'd be nice if we watched it together. So just to remind you that you're not the piece of shit that everybody says you are. All right, what I saw was a good mama loving on her boy. But I guess I wasn't thinking.
No, you weren't thinking.
Stop it now. I'm like, just drop it anytime. Anytime in this movie,
Yeah.
we'll stick with you.
Especially since there were scenes where he would sometimes have it thicker than others, just within the same scene.
Right.
maybe even sometimes within the same line of dialogue. And every time he did that, I was like, just stay off it. Don't go back to doing it.
I'm sure that's not her regular voice or accent.
Right.
No. Like,
She's
how much she
British.
really, like,
I looked
there's
her
like
up.
a real difference
Yeah.
to, like, melting into a role and Hamily playing a part, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really surprised to learn that she's British.
Yeah.
I would never have thought that. And I was heavily invested in her sobriety. We were watching that movie,
Yes.
you know, and there's like the scene where that flask and she's out standing on the back porch, and I was just like, don't do it, don't do it, you've come too far. You know, it's just like, oh.
The scene where she
invested.
invites her son, like her son comes in to eat at her diner,
Yes.
like it was really good.
I think the fact that it had a happy ending made some of the more harrowing, hard to watch parts worth it. You know, because it kind of had this like happy ending.
Yeah, there were a lot of parts in it where I was just like, oh my god. You know, like where she's kind of like realizing her charm is running out. And, like where she tries to pick up the cowboy guy at the bar. And, like,
yeah.
that doesn't go well. And
That was
I was, yeah.
Yeah, that was so rough.
It kind of made sense. Mark Maron's in it. I don't. It just seems like he's got his own like addiction.
Yeah. He executive
past.
produced it, and that's
Yeah.
great. And I mean, I could see him being a consultant on the script and all sorts of ways he could have helped that weren't doing that accent. And I really even think he's not that bad of an actor when he's doing a minimalist thing. Like, he was doing a really good job in Glow, and I think he does a good job in Lynn Shelton's movie. You need a director to tell him to pull it all the way back. And that wasn't happening for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, there's probably like a power structure there. Like, you know, I don't know who directed it, like how experienced they are, but it's like, tell your executive producer to pull back. You know?
Yeah, that's true. And he's like, I'll pull my checkbook back. You don't like what I'm doing with my voice.
Oh my god, imagine if he was someone that stays in character all the time.
He's like, if I don't keep the accent, I'm going to lose it. Just like Austin Butler. Because there's the thing where he can't get rid of his Elvis voice.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I hadn't heard about that. That's funny.
And he's from like LA or something.
So a surprise for me was Judd Hirsch.
Oh.
I mean, not because he wasn't good in the film. You know, he's barely in it.
Yeah.
He's an over-the-top character.
Mhm.
So this kind of big acting
Yeah.
fits with the character. But I don't
Yeah.
know, I was like, really?
Nominate Seth Rogen, you cowards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen was really surprising in that role.
He was
I thought
good.
He was really good. I didn't even realize it was him for a while.
Yeah.
This is the Fablemans.
Right.
And also Steven Spielberg's dad, I don't know, I can't remember the name of the character, the kid, but, you know, Steven Spielberg. But Steven Spielberg's dad also was good.
Paul Dano.
Yes.
Oh, good.
And was
do not
someone-
like him. Sorry.
As
Watch
an
his movie-
actor,
yeah,
or-
as an actor? Yeah,
Okay.
I never liked him.
Yeah, I think maybe it's the elder statesman of Hollywood treatment that
Yeah.
you get when you have the whole.
Well, I
decades
do
long
feel like,
career.
especially with supporting actor, they like a big performance. They like a real
Yeah.
showy, broad, like, acting in this scene, you're gonna remember, you know.
Yeah.
For the supporting, especially.
Yeah,
I feel like.
especially supporting.
Right.
I feel
Yeah.
like they love like a big performance in a small part. Like,
Yeah, he kind of like rolls into town, is like super wacky and weird, and then leaves.
Yeah, I
you know?
feel like
It's
they love that.
Yeah, that is what that
Yeah.
role is. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. It was just, I wouldn't have picked that performance out, like, of, you know, all of the ones
Yeah.
I've seen to be like, yes. That
I would
no.
say that. I would say he doesn't deserve it, and I would say Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't deserve her Best Supporting Actress nomination.
I could not believe she was nominated. Like, her research for her role was she saw a photo of a woman who worked at the IRS, and basically copied the outfit the woman in the photo is wearing or something.
I just want to say I have always disliked her, and I find her like super smug and full of herself. I do not like Jamie Lee Curtis, and I really, really did not like her in this movie. I really it's like bothering me to even think about it. So I'm like, please don't give her an Oscar. Like, she's already insufferable, you know?
Don't reward her for this.
Right.
She's really pissed off about the Nepo
Which
baby
is like
thing.
insane. How about don't have both your famous parents' last names in your own name? I mean, I just cannot with her.
Because I read a transcript of her speech when she got the SAG Award for Best Supporting Actress, and it said something like, I know you all look at me and think Nepo baby. Like, get over it. Like,
I know.
I feel like that's the thing is...
Has she not had a long, storied career already?
My father was from Hungary and my mother was from Denmark, and they had nothing. And they became these monstrous stars in this industry that they loved so much. My parents were actors, and I married an actor. I love actors. I love acting. I love the job we get to do. I love being a part of a crew. I love being a part of a cast. It's such a beautiful job. And I know that so many people in our industry who are actors don't get to do this job. And you look at nights like this and think, is that ever going to be possible for me? And I know you look at me and think, well, Nepo baby, that's why she's there. And I totally get it. But the truth of the matter is I'm 64 years old and this is just amazing.
They can get a bad rap to some extent. You know, I feel like the thing that's true, what they say is, it gets you in the door but doesn't keep you in the room, you know? But, like, I feel like she's the kind that's, like, has convinced herself she would have had the exact same career if her parents weren't Janet Leigh and Tony Curtis, who were, like, big stars in their day, you know?
Yeah.
And I really did not like her in that movie, and I don't want her to get an Oscar.
I liked her in that movie. I don't want her to get that Oscar, though, because I want somebody else to get it. But in general, I always feel like the Academy likes when beauty goes ugly. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, they do like that.
They want you to have black eye. They want you to gain weight. They want, you know, like...
That weird nose.
They love that.
They love that
and
so much
like,
more than just like a regular looking person being regular looking.
Yes.
You know, like someone who just is.
They're like, there's nothing more brave than pretending to be hideous when you're actually beautiful.
Right, yes. Like, case in point, Brendan Fraser in a giant fat suit for that whale movie.
Yeah.
Instead of having a fat person.
He's very adamant about not referring to it as a fat suit. He's like, you'll never hear me calling it that, or something like that.
What?
It's like, yeah, he.
Big deal.
Yeah,
Like
but
you're
he's
still in it in a movie called The Whale.
Right.
It's
Jesus
like,
Christ.
What do you
weird
call
hair
it?
to split. You know.
Yeah, that is.
Just call it a whale suit. You know.
Right, I know.
Oh, God.
They probably just call it the suit. I have to go into makeup now. Yeah.
Ugh, yeah. I feel like in 30, maybe, who knows when, but someday we'll be looking back on that movie as like Song of the South or something, but yeah, it's so crazy that everyone's like, it's fine because he's not the villain. He just...
I feel like even right now it's at best like half and half, you know. I think most of the support of that movie is of him and his performance. You know, like, people really love Brendan Fraser.
Because he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, and he had something, sort of like a Me Too thing, right?
He did, yeah.
So I feel like it's that. Like, it seems like he's like a legit nice guy that had a hard time in the way that usually it's like women in Hollywood have a hard time.
And he's a hometown hero.
Oh, there you go.
Graduate of Cornish.
Oh, really? I had no idea. I was like, what hometown? This one?
Cornish's most famous graduate.
Oh my god, I thought he was Canadian. I could have sworn he was Canadian. Is it just because he was in that Dudley Do-Right movie?
I don't know, maybe.
He just did such a good job being Canadian in that movie.
He really disappeared into that Mountie suit.
So I'm a fan of Brendan Fraser. The Mummy is probably one of my all-time favorite movies.
I don't love that movie with the audio, but from a visual perspective, it is a bisexual me's dream of Rachel Weisz. Brendan Fraser looking pretty good, and then also John Hannah, who I really love.
What does he play in that
He's,
movie?
I think he's Rachel Weisz's brother?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's like a character actor.
The warrior that's trying to keep them from getting to the tomb.
I don't remember it that well. Yeah, so very hot movie.
Also The Mummy when
Yeah.
it comes to life.
Oh, that's true.
He's not hard to look at.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot for that movie because I think the first time I saw it, or one of the times I saw it, I had a fever.
Oh.
I was really sick. and like dozing in and out of this like, feverish dream. And you would just wake up and be like, is this my fever dream?
That seems fun.
I was like, I fell asleep for a while. What did I miss?
Yeah.
Turns out nothing. The mummy
Yeah.
is still chasing them. So I highly recommend
He's
that
turned
if
into
you're ever
sand
sick.
again. Oh
Yeah,
no.
like, watch the mummy. You're not like, oh, I'm totally lost now because I fell asleep for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I like that.
I remember him from Encino Man and like this movie that I remember, School Ties.
Oh, yeah.
Like in '92 or something.
That had a lot of 90s heartthrobs in it.
Yeah. He was really good in Gods and Monsters.
I love that. Yeah, I was
That
gonna
was
say
a
Gods and
great
Monsters is
movie.
a movie I really loved.
But yeah, I really like him, and I feel like he's kind of the favorite for the best actor. But
I feel like
it's...
your Austin Butler is the favorite.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
I mean,
I'm sorry, you talk about a visceral reaction.
I can't believe you watched
Oh,
that
this
movie.
was
It
so
seems
offensive.
designed to be like something you would hate.
It absolutely was, and the only reason I watched the whole thing is because my friend Elise was over, and we have a thing where we watch bad movies. I mean, it tested. I mean, there were many times throughout where we were like, are we going to really finish this? Because it's so awful, but we just kept passing the joint around, and like, maybe it'll get better. Oh, Lord, it is so offensive. It's offensive to cinema. It's offensive to blues musicians, because I swear to God, there's like a whole thing where he goes to a revival at the beginning, and he's like, this music is amazing, and then he goes into the church and he like has an experience and all the black people gather around him and they raise him up and it's like they've anointed him as one of them. And then later on he's like talking to B.B. King and B.B. King's like, I know you stole my song, but you do a real good job.
What an interesting way to address cultural appropriation.
I know. He said it was okay.
Yeah, Elvis had a hood pass, actually.
I mean, I just couldn't really get past Tom Hanks as
Oh,
Colonel
that was
Farrell.
awful.
And
Talk
why
about a
was
wild
the
accent.
narrator- Yeah, and it annoyed me to no end that he was the narrator. Like I was like, I don't like this angle. Like I didn't like that
couldn't
angle.
take it
Yeah.
seriously. Like I felt like it was like Walk Hard.
It definitely made Walk Hard look like a serious drama.
Yeah. Hollywood loves biopics.
I know. I mean, I would have never in a million years seen Bohemian Rhapsody as much as I did, which I didn't finish that movie. I was
did not.
so offended. I would never have guessed that would have won awards. I just, because it seemed so objectively terrible. Like a Lifetime, not even Lifetime would do a better one. It was so bad. And so now I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck they're going to do. Maybe they think Elvis is the most brilliant movie they've ever seen. Who knows?
Have any of you watched Blonde? Like,
No.
Biopics.
Mm-hmm.
It
What did you
was
think
hard
of
to
that?
get through. I watched some of it like just fast forward. A little.
3 hours long.
It's long, and
they're
like
all really long this year.
it's
but-
really bad. It's some really terrible parts, like her unborn fetus, like talking.
Oh, Jesus
in a
Christ.
baby voice. And like
Wow.
she gets treated like garbage in the movie,
Yeah, it
like
seems like
in a
real
very
torture porn
like
kind
like misery porn kind of
Mhm.
way, and I just. That's another one. Like
Mhm.
Hollywood loves people that play famous Hollywood people.
Yeah.
No, they love
And
that.
I was kind of
And
surprised.
it doesn't matter whether it says something about the performer or
Yeah.
not. It's just that they did it. The fact that they did it is worthy of recognition.
Yeah.
And they also, I always feel like, in particular with the lead actress category, they really like an actress whose performance is good in an otherwise crappy movie. These are my takes over the years. So I'm like, well, maybe that's why that nomination happened. Maybe she did a good job playing Marilyn.
I don't like when Renee Zellweger won for Judy. I was
Yeah.
just like, what?
Like nobody
Yeah.
saw that.
I didn't even know she was I don't know. It was just like. Oh.
Yeah, they
I
do
watched
love
part of that. 'Cause I could tell that she was doing a good job, but the movie was trash. So.
Not as good as
Yeah.
Jinx Monsoon.
Oh my God. No.
We just saw her in Chicago.
Oh, you did?
Oh, it was
Just got back from New York.
amazing.
We
Yeah.
went for that reason.
Oh my
to see her in
God!
Chicago.
Really, I was literally just looking at tickets. Like, maybe I should go. to New
You
York
should
to
do
see
it.
Jinx.
Absolutely.
I
100%
have so
worth
much
it.
travel coming up
Such a
for
good
work and
production.
stuff that it's like I can't justify it, but
Oh.
I really want to
Justify
go
it,
see
girl.
her.
I think it's worth it. I do.
Yeah, you should.
Okay.
It's not just that she does a good job, it's the whole production is so good too.
Really good.
Right.
But Roxy is really
Yeah.
good. I love it.
It's a real minimalist stage, and they really lean into the Fosse choreography,
I love it.
So good.
and
Jazz hands.
and the costumes are all very
I just
cool.
love Jinx. Another Cornish graduate.
I did know that.
I'm like the one
Yeah.
woman
We claim
Cornish
her even
graduate
though
today.
She's
I did used to work
from
there.
Portland, but Seattle claims her because
Yeah.
as her own. We'll share with Portland. We love sharing with Portland. Yeah, so someday Jinx maybe hopefully will be nominated for an Oscar.
I want to see her EGOT.
Yeah.
Hell
EGOT.
yes.
I went to DragCon last year and saw a panel like afterwards. I was like, I gotta go and meet Jinx, and so I got a picture taken with her, which I will share with all of you.
Oh, yes.
So she looks just as gorgeous from this far away.
Yes.
Really gorgeous. And was super gracious. I was like, I used to work at Cornish.
Oh, Jinxie, wish we could just
All
talk
right.
about you all night.
Like now, whenever I'm like, I don't know about that performance, I'm gonna pretend like it was Jinx Monsoon. So Jinx Monsoon in Blonde.
Yes.
Just replace everyone with Jinx.
I love that.
When I
Yeah,
watched
I
that
mean, I could
movie.
totally Jinx Monsoon as the IRS person in
Yeah.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh yeah, she would nail that.
She would be great. Okay, so
We
let's
just jumped
let's get
all
some-
maybe
over
we
the
should
place.
start
We did
with
not.
Get some structure.
categories.
there's
We should
more
get into the categories.
surprises.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
You're right.
more
Let's finish the
surprises.
surprises then.
Okay, well, Paul Mescal.
That's true.
That's a surprise.
Before this year, I knew him as the cute guy in The Lost Daughter.
Oh, right,
I'd never
right,
seen him in
yeah.
anything else, but apparently he had a little bit of a following.
Okay.
It's kind of a heartthrob.
Also, Ruben Östlund. I don't know how you say his name. The director,
Ruben Östlund.
Triangle of Sadness.
Mhm.
I
Oh,
think that was
yeah, I
kind of a
really liked
surprising
that.
nomination.
Yeah.
And then I already said Judd.
Yeah, it
Those
is
were my-
always interesting. I think now that you can have 10 Best Picture nominees, it's more interesting, like, what of the Best Picture ones get also nominated for Best Director, you know?
Yes.
And then it wasn't always like a straight 5 and 5, you know, sometimes. But it is always curious when something is nominated for Best Picture but not Best Director.
It absolutely is. I still don't think we need 10 Best Picture nominees, but
I don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean,
Movies are fun. I have so many opinions about so much of this.
I could easily cancel 5 of these Best Picture nominees.
Here are the 10 nominees for Best Motion Picture of the Year.
All Quiet on the Western Front. Malte Grünet, producer.
Avatar, The Way of Water. James Cameron and John Landau, producers.
The Banshees of Inisherin. Graham Broadbent, Pete Chernin, and Martin McDonough, producers.
Elvis, Baz Luhrmann, Catherine Martin, Gail Berman, Patrick McCormick, and Skylar Weiss, producers.
Everything Everywhere All at Once. Daniel Kwan, Daniel Scheinert, and Jonathan Wong, producers.
The Fablemans, Christy McCosco-Krieger, Steven Spielberg, and Tony Kushner, producers.
Tar. Todd Field, Alexandra Milchan, and Scott Lambert, producers.
Top Gun Maverick, Tom Cruise, Christopher McQuarrie, David Ellison, and Jerry Bruckheimer, producers.
Triangle of Sadness. Eric Hemmendorf and Philippe Gobert, producers.
And Women Talking. Dee Dee Gardner, Jeremy Kleiner, and Frances McDormand, producers.
Narrow it right the fuck down.
I know what I would get rid of. What would you get rid of?
Well, first of all, talk about surprises. All Quiet on the Western Front? What the fuck? I didn't hear
God.
about it. I was like, isn't that a movie from like the 50s? What are we talking about?
It is the A Star is Born of war movie. I swear to God, like literally every generation. So I think the first one was in like the 30s, and then there was one like Ernest Borgnine was in one. in
But
the
it's not as fun
70s.
as The Star is Born.
Yeah, no, but it's like literally been remade so many
Ugh.
times. And my dad and I were talking about this movie, and he's like, yeah, the only thing that's different, because it's based on a book, is the technology that we have now for special effects, which means it's just being gorier.
yeah.
And I feel like that was really accurate. It was really hard to watch.
I mean,
I
yeah.
did not want to watch that. War movies and westerns, I'm like not super into usually, but
Yeah.
like I almost threw up once. That
Wow.
was
Yikes.
hard.
Yeah. I hate war movies. I mean, even like the most anti-war movies, it's still a little challenging for me, you know?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, war is hell. So let's fucking not do it anymore. Let's not make any movies about it anymore. Let's talk about nice things. Let's not rehash that bullshit war over and over again.
Yeah, it was really rough. And, you know, you really see the contrast between the guys making the decisions who are, you know, drinking tea and having steak, and the guys who are there at the front lines who are, like, having to steal in order to have some food.
Yeah. But it's
you
like,
kinda see
that's,
that
we've
class
seen that
division.
stuff
Yeah.
before. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
What does
there
it
was
have to
nothing
say
new.
that we haven't heard before?
Nothing. It didn't say anything new. I mean, but in all fairness,
Yeah.
many of the things that we're referencing came after the book, so probably, I mean, who knows? You know, maybe the book was saying something new when it first came out.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, it was hard to watch, and it's one of the ones where I'm like, this thing I do where I try to see all the movies, maybe I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, questioning that.
that.
I would absolutely get rid of Avatar.
Yeah, same.
Elvis out of there. Top Gun out of there.
It doesn't mean that they weren't enjoyable films, right? I went into Top Gun wanting to hate it. I'm going to hate this. Intentionally on purpose, just because it has Tom Cruise in it. And then I actually really loved it. And it was great and super fun to watch. I enjoyed it completely. But yeah, I was like, really? Best Picture? I mean,
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fun action movie. And say, like Avatar, my friend and I saw it in 3D, and we were like, this is really enjoyable. And when it was over, you know, we were like, wow, I can't believe that was 3 hours. It didn't.
Oh, wow.
3 hours went by
That's
really
nice.
quickly, which is saying something. The plot, meh. But going around underwater with like alien underwater life forms, that was pretty awesome for 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a
enjoyable.
spectacle, but it's not a best picture.
Not a best picture.
Well, honestly, I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I would take out Everything Everywhere All at Once. I hated that movie. And I feel like, I know, I have to come out to you. And it's like, I wanted to like this movie. The discourse about this movie is very irritating to me personally, specifically, because I feel like people are very weird about people not liking this movie. But the first time I saw it, I went in totally blind, and halfway through when the title card came up for like part 2, I was like, what? I thought it was almost over. And I'm like, oh, we're only like halfway, right? I'm like, okay. But at the end, I was like, it wasn't like really my thing, but I was like, it was fine. But then I watched it again, and I wish I hadn't watched it a second time. Second time, I really disliked it a lot.
Oh.
And it like was bugging me like later. Like it kind of stuck with me in a really bad way. And like I respect it, like stuff that people like about it. I can respect it, just didn't work for me.
That happens.
But so it's been a very annoying award season.
we still love you. I didn't quite get it when I first saw it. So I'm a member of SIF, so I got an invitation to an early screening and saw it at the Egyptian and was mostly just sort of confused and having a hard time tracking things, which reminded me of how it was for me to see The Matrix when that first came out. I was kind of like, what? So when I saw it again, it kind of was like, oh, now I get it. Much more sense, and it was pretty enjoyable, and I thought the acting was great. And also, I don't know, like I'm a sucker for a comeback story. I'm a sucker for like I've been my whole career without getting nominated, so some of my support for the film has to do with my emotional response to the people that are in it.
Yeah, I like support all that. That'd be great if Michelle Yeoh won. That's great. Like good for her. You know, she's not what I didn't like about it, you know.
Right.
But I feel like sometimes I'm not saying you're doing this, but like sometimes the movie has this nice message or whatever, and if you're like, I don't like that movie, that means like you don't support that message.
You hate puppies.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the film also, I was thinking about this today, it's a story about a family. And it just happens to have this backdrop of all this like multiverse shenanigans, you know, but it's really about a family. I don't know, which makes it.
It absolutely
relatable.
is, yeah. That's what I liked about it, was it's about mothers and children and expectations for your own life and for your children's lives, and just how hard it can be to communicate with people that you love so much. But I can also totally, I was so surprised that it was so universally beloved after I saw it, because it seemed like the kind of thing that usually would be so niche, especially with the Daniels and their previous work. They were the farting corpse movie people, you know? And that's a movie that's beautiful too, but it's a weird, beautiful movie, and that seemed like their thing. And now it's like, oh, they're mainstream all of a sudden, you know? That's really weird. And why is that? And I do see what Amy's saying about it does get to the point where like you're not allowed to have any sort of critique of it. That's what critique is. It's not like this sucked. It's okay, this could have been better, or I prefer this sort of angle. But it can be really hard if people are so emotionally tied to it. Like, I remember that being kind of with Jojo Rabbit. That was like, yeah.
That movie.
I hated that too.
And I really hated Jojo Rabbit too, but it was like anytime you talked about it, it would be like, what, do you love Nazis? No.
Hey, that's what it's like, you know, like there's a thing of like, well, whatever life, be kind or whatever. And it's like, oh, so you are against kindness. You know, it's like, no, I just thought like the multiple scenes of someone like trying to land his ass on the thing was dumb. You know, like I thought all the dumb stuff was very dumb. And I don't even feel bad calling it dumb stuff, because I feel like in the movie, it's like, I know the word they use isn't dumb, but it's like you have to do like the dumbest thing to jump to the next multiverse. Like wet your pants and do this. And like how many times are we going back to the hot dog fingers? Like all of that did not work for me. It just didn't. So it's annoying where it's like, oh, this is this beautiful movie about generational trauma. And it's like, sure, great. And I'm glad that people got that out of it. Like even the rocks I thought was kind of neat. I thought that was a neat idea. Like, okay, we're in a universe that doesn't support life. But then I thought the dialogue in the rock scene was, again, just like dumb. You know, like there was so much. I'm like, I went into this movie totally open to it, you know, and it's really annoying when people are just like dismissed as like, oh, you're just trying to be contrarian or you're a hater or whatever. I wanted to be, you know, like, I love it for anybody that loves it. You know, like, this is my thing. Is I like it when people like stuff.
You're
That's
not.
my bio on Facebook, actually, you know. This movie did not do it for me. I regret seeing it a second time. Like, I watched it a second time because we're going to podcast about it and because Jessica and Matt both really loved it. I'm like, I want to see like what people saw in it. I regret seeing it the second time. I liked it even less, like a lot less the second time.
I feel like the Bajancy is gonna get you. There was like an SNL skit where the people are hanging out and then one of them says they don't like Beyonce and the next thing you know it turns into one of those movies where the government is like after him. Like his debit card doesn't work anymore and he can't like go anywhere because the Bajancy is after him because like, how dare you not like Beyonce?
That's really
This
funny.
is like you with this movie.
Right.
Also, I don't actually really like Beyonce.
See, there you go.
I think it's bizarre to expect everybody to like the thing that you like.
Yeah.
And I don't understand even why that's important to
It's
someone. Like,
art. Of course
right.
not everyone's
Well,
gonna like
it's
all the
one
same
thing
stuff.
if like if you like someone and someone goes to you specifically to trash it knowing that you love it. That's different.
Right.
I understand
That's just
that.
weird.
But there's not anything that I love that I'm like, I don't understand why someone else wouldn't like it. It's like I want to bring back like the hipster, you know, of like people who actively don't want other people to like their thing. You wouldn't like it. You wouldn't get it. You've probably never heard of it. Like I want that
You've
mentality
probably never
back.
heard of it.
Right.
Like the international mating call of the hipster.
Right.
It's not even a thing anymore. Like, everyone's heard of everything. There's nothing you haven't heard of. Except for All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh god, that movie was just so hard. So hard.
Oof. Well, we're going through the best pictures, so let's keep doing that.
Can we talk about the Banshees of, is it Inisherin?
Yes,
Inisherin?
Inisherin.
Why are you
She's
asking?
being funny.
She's seen it, like,
I was-
many times.
I became
yeah.
incredibly obsessed with it.
Okay.
It spoke to me. Almost every line of dialogue spoke to me in that movie. I like to describe it as it's like a dream where I am every character in the movie except for the cop and the priest.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I would like to see it win for original screenplay.
Yes.
Like that.
Me
I
too.
agree that more than any of the other films nominated for original screenplay, that is a film where the dialogue is really significant.
Mm-hmm.
The words that they choose are significant
Yes.
to the plot and
I mean, it's written like a play.
hard time with it, but not unhappy hard time, but more just like, so they said this was a comedy? But it's really dark.
Right. That's
Really
same
dark.
with like in
Yeah.
Rouge. It's like, oh, this like buddy action
Yeah,
comedy.
it's a black comedy. I mean, I would call it an Irish comedy because that is what Irish comedy is very well steeped in death. I mean, the Catholicism is a big part of it, but
Yeah,
it's just like they're raised to be always reminded of death.
Yeah, and I read something about it too, just about it's like an allegory for the Irish fighting the Irish, and so these two guys are sort of representing all of the Irish at war with each other in a way that is just completely destroying themselves and destroying each other, and in the end, there's not really any good reason for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like hacking your fingers off was
I
just
mean,
so
that's
like,
brutal.
oh, I really don't want to see your friend.
Right.
But
And
also,
it
it
feels
I mean, he's-
arbitrary, but
He's
like,
depressed.
Yeah.
It's an extreme reaction to depression.
yeah.
Also, aren't there only like 100 people on the whole island? It's like,
Yeah.
How do you not see this guy?
Yeah.
Like, you literally live on this island that has like 5 people on it. He's one of your 5 people. Anyway, I feel like a very unreasonable
Right.
request.
Well,
Don't ever talk to me ever.
It absolutely is.
The Civil War in Ireland, having these enemies that are just kind of like, you're my enemy now. You know, like the scene in the end where they almost seem like they're friends for like a glimpse.
Suppose me house makes us quits.
If you'd stayed in your house, that would have made us quits. But you didn't, did you? So it doesn't, does it?
I'm sorry about your donkey, Pádraig. Honestly, I am.
I don't fucking care.
Haven't had any rifle fire from the mainland in a day or two. I think they're coming to the end of it.
I'm sure they'll be at it again soon enough, aren't you? Some things there's no moving on from. And I think that's a good thing.
Auric, thanks for looking after me dog for me anyways.
Anytime.
No, they're your sworn enemy. I don't know. Yeah, that movie, the depression thing definitely hit me. Like, everybody on the island is just sort of losing their minds or something.
Absolutely.
Like,
I do think it's a big, it's kind of a big advertisement for moving to the city.
Yeah,
It's like, if you feel like you want to cut your fingers off, you should just go live in Dublin. Yeah. You can talk to people who have different perspectives, and that's a lot of it. It's just like that people have the same conversations over and over again, and because they're so myopic, and then that's why they can't see the big picture and stop fighting either.
Yeah, how insidious it was, like with the mail lady reading her mail.
Yes.
Like, in her business.
Because she wants the news. She's jonesing for news so bad because there isn't any fucking news on this tiny island.
I felt so bad for that sister. Like, I was like, girl, you gotta get out of there.
Yeah.
Like, this is a dead end life. Get out.
Yeah,
you know?
I was glad she did.
I'm so glad she got out.
But then I felt bad for him because, you know, he was just so all alone.
Yeah.
It made me sad. The movie was sad to me. I don't like loneliness, and I felt like the movie had a lot of loneliness. Like,
Yes.
even when people were interacting with other people, it felt like there was a lot of loneliness involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it was very good. And also, I really think everyone who was nominated deserved their nomination.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought the supporting actors were really good in that.
Yeah.
Particularly the one who plays the younger,
Very cute
not
and
smart guy.
yeah.
Not very smart guy. I was kind of like, yeah, he's doing a great job.
He's really good.
He had
Yes.
a lot of really good lines. Like, I just love how he's like.
I mean, he's the comic relief, right? He's
Yeah,
almost
he is.
everything he says is funny, even though he's a tragic character. Ultimately,
Yeah, the tragic clown.
he's like the fool in the Shakespearean play.
I just love the, what is he, 12? And it's like, yeah, exactly. Like, these people are not being rational.
And I like when he's like yelling at him at the pub to play, so he's like, play something dancey. None of that maudlin shit.
I like when he's with the sister and he's like, I don't suppose you'd fall in love with a guy like me. It was so funny.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
But again, like, yeah, he could move to the city and maybe find someone who could, but instead, you know, he can't see that far. No one could see a way out except for Siobhan.
Well,
what else in the Best Picture? The Fablemans. I feel like that's my Everything Everywhere, where I thought that movie fucking sucked for the most part, and I'm gonna have a hard time defending that, I guess, but
I didn't even see it, so.
I mean, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with movies that are love letters to Hollywood or whatever. They tend to be pretty cheesy. And then this is a love letter to Steven Spielberg specifically, written by Steven Spielberg, and I just couldn't fucking take it. There were so many shots of people like, oh, you're never gonna amount to anything, and then he's like, watch this, and he puts the projector on, and everyone slowly warms up to him, and their mouths agape as they watch this brilliance unfolding in front of them. And I was just aware every moment of that it's like, this is about himself. It's just such a big wank. He's just having a huge wank on the screen.
This is like your rant about Jamie Lee Curtis. It's all about yourself. You made a movie about yourself.
And he made some good movies, but he also made some hot fucking garbage. And I don't think that he deserves to have a movie that purports that he's going to be the next John Ford. Fuck you. But he did have a perfect cameo in David Lynch, and I'm really glad that he went for that, because for me, it's nice that it's at the end, because if you start the movie almost at the end, then it's a great movie.
You watch just the last 20 minutes. It's really good. I enjoyed the movie. I really, really appreciated seeing a Jewish family in a movie being Jewish, celebrating Hanukkah and doing Jewish things.
But how did you feel about them not being played by Jews, though?
I don't even register that.
No? Okay.
Yeah. I did get a little annoyed at Michelle Williams' accent some of the time. Like, I was kind of like, oh god, this is like really over the top.
I was like, what did his mom sound like? Because the voice is so stylized. But then there was a recording of her, and I was like, okay, I guess that's pretty accurate. But but yeah, I totally get what you mean.
It was like a coming-of-age film. I enjoyed it, and I thought it was cool seeing the inventive ways they tried to make a film when he's like 12, and, you know, creative things that they did. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I wasn't like blown away by it. I probably would be a little upset if it won. Trying to decide would I be upset if it won, but I didn't hate it. It didn't feel like a waste of time. It was one that I was a little bit dreading.
Yeah.
I was like, Fablemans, but I watched it and I was like, yeah, that was good. Also, really loved David Lynch. That was a nice surprise. And I also thought Seth Rogen was just like really good in that movie. And
he is terrific.
I didn't really even notice that it was him at first.
Yeah.
Like it took me a while that maybe there was like a close up on his face at one point that I was like, oh my God. Okay, wow. So I thought he did a really good job. And I mostly appreciated the story as a story about the mom and like her being like this artistic creative person that feels really stifled by her sort of engineering husband and kind of wants to be this more like creative life. I liked that storyline.
Yeah, but then it was like kind of unfair to her a lot of the time because I mean, it definitely seemed like it wasn't just the Steven Spielberg character saying it. It seemed like the narrative was saying, like, she was actually really selfish because she had desires.
Yeah.
Even though she kept them deep down inside, I found out about them, and that made me mad. Fuck you, dude.
True.
Your mom has an internal life. That's not any of your business.
Yeah, but, I mean, I think he was, what, like 12 or 13 or something that we, like, can't really reasonably expect kids to be... I don't know. I don't have kids. But in my mind, I don't really feel like 12 or 13 is reasonable to expect them to understand that their parents have any kind of internal life at all. They haven't even figured out their own internal life yet.
I mean, maybe that's when you learn it, but you let them
Yeah.
Explain it to you. You don't get mad at them.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I was already not enjoying this kid, and then he did that, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. To me, they do work through that. Like, that is how he learns that. Oh, my mom is like a person. Like, I think they kind of come around to understanding that they actually have a lot in common with each other. And it was interesting how he kind of aligned more with his dad or aligned more with his mom throughout different parts of the movie. If it didn't win anything, I would be kind of like, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Spielberg seems very beloved. It's one of those like, yeah, I guess he's got a good shot. I mean, I didn't see the movie, but
yeah, I have no opinion. I didn't see it. I feel like he's fine. He's made lots of fine movies and some bad movies. I don't have strong feelings about him at all.
Okay, let's talk about Tar.
Oh my god.
Let's talk about Tar, baby.
I wasn't going to see Tar. You almost went to see it, and I'm like, no, I'm not going. I'm not going to like it. And then you both saw it separately and didn't like it. And finally, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to watch it because it was streaming and I could watch it. I was home, no kids, no nothing to do. And I'm like, oh my god, I really liked it. I was so sick. I was like, fine, I'll hate watch Tar, I guess. And I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, I know.
I love it. There's this like very different opinions. You're not like, we all three loved this.
Now I feel like I want to see it again though, because Amy liked it specifically.
Well, I hope it doesn't happen like what happened when we see everything.
I mean, I did read a lot about it, and I realized there were things that I just didn't get when I first saw it, and I was like, I guess I'm too dumb for Tar. I should watch it again when I understand what he's going for. So I was surprised that I didn't like it that much because I love Cate Blanchett. And there were things that I really did like, but overall it just was dragging for me, and I found the conversations about, like, and I know that's the point, but like every time she was talking about conducting and music, I was just like, I'm so bored. But then she would say something catty in German and I'd be back in. And I did really love the kid who played her daughter. I thought she was so interesting. An interesting character and an interesting actor portraying that character.
I thought it was boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was long, and I wasn't like, oh god, this movie, but I was just sort of watching it like I had nothing better to do, and it was just moving at the pace of actual life. It felt like this movie is taking place over 5 years, and it's actually taking 5 years. And then at the very end, suddenly something's happening, for like the last 20 minutes. Then it's just like, and here's her life completely unraveling, blah, 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 and then that was that. But the whole 2 hours leading up to that, I was just like, this is really boring and kind of mundane feeling. And I thought her performance was really good, but there were other performances I liked more. So
I saw it with my sister and her wife. We really liked it. We kept talking about it for days because it was just a lot to process. I've only seen it the one time in the theater, but Cate Blanchett I just thought she was so good in it. The scenes with her and the New Yorker person interviewing her, that felt really real to me. This very intellectual, she's just sort of like worshipped in this way that it's like she's godlike in the beginning, and she believes this about herself and is in control of everything, and then you see her like she's obsessive about being in control, and she just descends into this like paranoia like, madness. I felt like so sucked in to her life and her perspective, and it's just like things are going awry here. And I thought the woman who played her wife was really good. That relationship was really interesting, and about how maybe her wife was sort of upholding this power structure. It's just like interesting to see different ways that people can be complicit to this whole power structure in these ways that don't seem totally obvious at first. Her kid was really, really good, and it was creepy. I thought it was a really creepy movie.
Yeah, it was.
I wanted it to be creepier. That's when I liked it the most, was when she finds the metronome in her house, and I really liked it after she hits her head. Everything after that is pretty interesting, and it made me really wish that the rest of the movie had been like that.
Also, I love it's just such a neat, wild detail that when she's running and she hears the scream, and it's literally the screaming from Blair Witch Project. Like, that's such a...
Really? I didn't know that.
I didn't find that out until way later, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I just saw that on Twitter, and I thought it was a joke, and no, it is really. It's Heather screaming at the end of Blair Witch Project.
Oh my god.
It's like a movie sampling other movies.
I like that.
Cool. One thing I liked a lot about this movie, something that I don't like about movies nowadays is like all the discourse, you know, it's always like, what's this movie saying? What's this doing? Like Glass Onion, which is like enjoyable, but I feel like that movie is, the filmmaker is telling you, these are the good people and these are the bad people. Practically every character has a label on it. And I feel like this movie, it's just sort of like, here is this character who is complicated, very flawed, not great, and it's just like, make of it what you will. You know, I feel like that's one thing I really appreciated about this movie, that it was, I'm just presenting this to you and I'm not telling you what to think about her or this story.
I found it to be thought-provoking, you know, as far as like films go, even though a lot of it I was kind of like, is something gonna happen in this movie? Right. Yeah, I did really wonder what was going on with that weird abandoned building where it was, you know, the woman, the cellist goes in there. She had said she was staying with a friend until her apartment was ready, but was it really that she was just completely poor and living in this abandoned building like a squatter?
Yeah.
Or was she like leading her to a different building because she needed the boundary or something?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then I read an article that was saying that one interpretation would be that like everything that happens after she hits her head is actually happening in her head. It's not really happening anymore. Just off in her own little paranoid mental hellscape.
Which I really like that interpretation because the camera style changes pretty significantly at that point. And I liked it better. Whatever's happening now, I really like this.
So it was thought-provoking and it was interesting also just thinking about all the times that people with talent are able to abuse other people or manipulate other people because people want to be close to their talent or ride the coattails. So it was kind of interesting the way that was presented, but it wasn't a movie I loved.
Right. And I see that, like, this is the flip-flop for me with Everything Everywhere All at Once, where it's like, I really liked this movie, but, like, if someone's like, I didn't like it, yeah, I see that, you know? Like, it is kind of super boring. Like, it wasn't boring to me, but I can also see how it is, like, very slow, and there's a lot of people talking about their work, you know? Which in general is not something that I like.
I guess I like people talking about movie making, because that's a job that's interesting to me, but...
Right.
Conductor. I mean, I can see how someone would make it interesting, but the way she talks is so pretentious.
I was gonna like it, and I had never liked a Todd Field movie before. And I'm like neutral on Kate Blanchett. Like she's great, you know, but I don't have any strong feelings about her. And I was like, all right, fine, what? I was like, very surprised. Also, did we all at least love the apartment for sale?
Yes.
Yeah, that was really. That was weird.
I loved that so much. Her neighbors are trying to sell their apartment, and they're like, "Are there times when you aren't being loud? You know,
you
so
like
we
be
can show
quiet?"
it." And then she's like, "The accordion." Apartment for sale. Apartment for sale. Apartment for sale. Your mother's buried deep, and now you're gonna keep her apartment for sale. Your sister's in jail. You put your sister in jail. You're all going to hell. Your apartment for sale. I didn't see the credits as a songwriter.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised I wasn't nominated.
Oh my god, I would vote for that for best. Oh my god, imagine if
The performance.
Blanchett performed that.
That would be amazing. Or they had someone else do it, like a real serious version of it. Oh, Weird Al, maybe? I don't know any accordion players besides Weird Al.
So that's Tar.
Okay.
That's Tar.
Are you going to talk about Top Gun?
I don't
feel like we
I don't
really
like
need
to.
I think we kind of already said,
Yeah.
Like, I was actively working up a I will hate this movie vibe, and then was like, oh my god, this is so fun, I love it. They did a really good job. It was super entertaining, engaging, really exciting. The pacing of all the flying stuff, it was like, yeah, ooh, you know? Like, it was a very good Top Gun remake. Does not
I can see how if you like Top
belong
Gun, then you would like that movie. I do not like Top Gun. I don't like Tom Cruise. I feel like his character is so shitty. He endangers people's lives constantly.
That's what's different about Maverick.
Oh, yeah.
He's not a Maverick.
He's not a
In this
Maverick
one,
anymore.
He's about safety.
He's come full circle. He's evolved as a human being.
I hate Tom Cruise. I hate him. I can't fucking stand the guy. I don't want to support anything he does.
I was impressed because I knew there was going to be like a volleyball scene callback.
You did, huh? Okay.
There was like a beach football one, and Tom Cruise was in it. He looks really good.
Doesn't he do all his own
He's
stunts?
like in his
still?
60s.
He does, yes.
He looked great. Jennifer Connelly looked great too.
I
I
love
also will
Jennifer
say I really
Connelly.
appreciated that they're older, and there's this like budding relationship happening between them in the movie, and it's nice to see older people getting to.
He has an age-appropriate love interest for once.
Yeah, an age-appropriate love interest, and also like, you know, they're certainly closer to my age than most couples that I see in film. So it's sort of nice to see.
Oh, nice. I didn't see it.
Older people going on a date and being like, oh, I think they like me, you know. Like, there's a scene where her daughter's like, don't break her heart again.
Oh, were they in a relationship before?
Yeah, I guess maybe in the first one. I haven't seen.
Well,
Top
is she
Gun
supposed to
since
be
that,
the
but
Kelly McGillis character?
I don't know.
Because Jennifer Connelly was not in the first
She's
one.
a
Yeah, I
bar
think so.
owner at the Navy people go to drink.
That's the technical, scientific, military name.
I'm sure it has some homoerotic sailor allusion.
We don't need to like belabor that one, but it was a fun ride. I was like, what? Why is that nominated? I mean, then I'm like, well, if Ford versus Ferrari got nominated, then I guess Top Gun could be nominated.
I mean, conspiracy theories maybe about why Top Gun would get nominated, but...
Okay, but can we talk about Triangle of Sadness?
Yes!
So good.
I loved this movie.
Fucking loved it. I think, yeah, we're a quorum on that one. Triangle of Sadness rules.
Oh my god, I loved everything.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
vomiting scene.
Oh,
god, it was really.
It was unhinged. I love just the arc of the movie of like where
Yes.
it started to where
Right,
it
and
ended,
then
and
first
then
with
just
the
the
couple, and then
craziness.
it's like, yeah, everywhere that it went.
I was on
That
that
was
ride, and I was
fantastic.
like, I am with you on this ride.
I forgot about that Dolly DeLeon. She was the maid. I feel like she got snubbed. She could have.
Oh.
Did she get a Golden Globe nomination?
I don't really know, but I thought she was great, and I loved how she became the powerful person among all these like really wealthy people that
That was so great.
don't know
Yeah.
how to do anything,
Right.
and then she takes a shine to the model guy.
Yes.
Oh my god.
It was just so fun, like, to see the tables turn like that. Just, like, the uncomfortableness between the crew on the boat and the rich people who think they're being benevolent or something.
Right,
I
like,
know.
You
Oh
need
my
to
god,
take
yeah,
a
you go in the
swim
water.
or whatever.
Oh my god, yes.
And how basically that
that-
starts everything because her insistence on them having fun. Everyone
Yeah.
uses the water slide, and that's why the fish goes bad, and that's why everyone
Yeah.
barfs.
It just went so completely off the rails.
Yeah.
Like sewage just like spewing everywhere. I was trying to figure out, I mean, I used to live on a boat, so I was kind of like,
Oh.
like, what? How did that? I was having some suspension of disbelief.
Well, there's a
issues at that
storm
particular
too,
point, but
right?
yeah.
Okay, that was the other thing too, because the captain's dinner any
He
day,
eats
but
a hamburger.
they're like any day but Thursday because
And we're
because
like,
that's when it's gonna be a
crazy.
storm. So it was like basically everybody conspires to make
For
that
like
happen.
a week, Matt would be like, Thursday's
And then like he orders a burger. He's
Yeah.
like the
Right.
only one who doesn't eat
Yeah.
the fish,
Yeah.
basically. And then he's locked in his room with the Russian, you know,
They're
like
so
Mhm.
shit selling guy.
Oh my god, that was so
I
funny.
saw
They're
shit.
like on the PA.
I mean, what? And like chaos. They just like the
So
whole
funny.
society just completely like broke down.
Yeah.
I love how the Russian guy, like, the lights go out, and he's like, the ship is going down. And everybody on the crew is like,
I love that. Everything about
The movie was so fun, and it was such a wild ride, and I love the way it just, it kind of got unhinged, you know? It did say some really interesting things, you know, like with the satire that it was presenting. The woman who was sort of the cruise manager, the chief of staff, whatever.
Right.
She's not in charge. She's not of the wealthy class, but she was completely ready to just carry on that setup and get to the island, and they're in theory stranded on a desert island, and she's just like ready to perpetuate this whole hierarchy.
Well, she's like middle management, and she gets
kind of benefits.
Yeah, it absolutely does. So that's so striking in the beginning of the boat ride when she's like talking to the above the line crew or whatever about how if they do a good job, they'll get really big tips. And then it pans down below deck where all the people down there aren't going to get any part of that, even though they're not in the meeting. They're just down there working hard, and that's all they do is work hard and later scrub up all the vomit everywhere.
Oh my God. Then it turns out that she's the only one with any life skills.
Yes, so funny.
And then suddenly she's in charge.
Right.
I thought that was so brilliant. And those scenes of the above deck crew and the below deck crew reminded me, this is going to sound really weird, but it reminded me of Titanic.
Oh, no, absolutely, yes.
That was, to me, the most interesting thing about Titanic was the presentation of the class divisions and the crew. You know, crew versus guest, and then, you know, the different types of crew, and that was kind of the most interesting thing in that movie for me, and I saw that in this movie, too.
Yeah.
This is my question. As we know, spoiler alert, the movie ends, and Dolly DeLeon's character is about to bash the Instagram girl's head in with a rock. Then it cuts out, so we don't see what happens. We just see the guy running. So what do you think happens? Does he get there in time? Does she bash the girl's head in with a rock and then bashes his head in with a rock when he shows up?
Well, I think him running has to do with right before they find the elevator. The woman with the weird, she had like a stroke or something because she can't talk.
Oh, right.
And she's sitting in the pool, and then the guy that's selling the hats approaches her because he's just like, he's from the other part of the island. So I think the model guy's running because he's like, oh, we just found out that there's people on this island. But I actually do know what was scripted for the ending.
Ooh.
Do you want to hear?
Yeah.
And in fact, they shot it. They shot her actually bludgeoning the model to death.
Okay. Oh, wow. Interesting.
So she was surprised when she saw the movie that it cut out before.
Wow.
I want to feel like she didn't do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty bad. You shouldn't do that.
She had it coming.
No, she did not.
We can get back and you can be my assistant.
Well,
it was like, oh.
She didn't have to get pissed, but like, should she be murdered for that?
Yeah.
You know, like, for like
Fair.
this ignorant comment?
Yeah.
That actress died in real life after
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah.
She did.
I want at least her character to be like, I don't know. So sometimes for me, it's like
That's
when
fair.
something's left ambiguous, I'm like, I don't know, it either did or didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make
Like
up
they
whatever
left
you
it that
want.
way intentionally, but because I feel like even just on paper, it's not a smart move for that lady to do that.
Right.
Kill this
Exactly.
woman like when they're right in front of this resort.
Yeah.
She's not gonna get away with that.
Right.
Right.
And now that
You
she
know?
knows this is civilization, it's
Right.
like, okay, probably rethink that course
Was
of
she gonna like
action.
real quick dispose of her body?
Right. Yeah, like that's...
And then
Hey,
come
I don't
back.
know where she went.
I don't know where she went.
There's a resort here. We're all rescued except I you know, she just, I don't know what
Right.
Yeah.
And if she was going to let everyone else know the resort was there, then there was no reason to kill her, because killing her was basically about keeping quiet that the resort was there, in my opinion. It was
Right.
like, we don't want anyone to know because I kind of like being in charge. And I
Right,
wanna keep it that way.
right.
Totally.
That's what's going through her head is the shift in like
Losing
what
my
currency.
power.
It's like you have power based on what the currency is of where you are.
Yeah, the dynamic of that, the whole movie is like about that, you know?
Yeah.
It was just such a fun ride.
I really
Yeah,
like
I
the
liked
elevator scene in the beginning
Yes,
with Yaya and
Yeah,
her
yeah,
boyfriend. Like, he is upset that she didn't do anything about the bill of the restaurant. She's like, I don't think it's sexy to talk about money. He's like, I want us to be equal. Then, like, later, you know, he's kind of like using his hot young guy thing to sleep in the boat and have all the snacks. And he's kind of like doing what she was doing in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So I just looked it up, and Dolly De Leon was nominated for Best Supporting Actress Motion Picture for her performance in Triangle of Sadness, and she actually became the first Filipino actress to be nominated.
And that's for
what?
Golden Globe.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think it was that people were surprised that she wasn't represented in the Oscars, but they do that.
That was great.
Yeah, they had to do Jamie Lee fucking Curtis instead for some reason. Ugh.
That was such a surprise.
Whoever this is in The Whale. I feel like that's the one to swap out.
Hong Chau's good. She was in The Menu.
And she was in Poker Face.
Yeah, yes.
She was so good in that.
She's an up-and-coming character actress, I think.
I read this Vanity Fair article, like, they asked her how she felt about being nominated, and she's like, honestly, I feel nothing. Because she's gone through the whole gauntlet. Like, she played an activist in this movie Downsizing, and, like, everybody was talking about how she's gonna be, you know, like, they put you through that gauntlet of, like, interviews and press. She didn't get nominated. Somebody from Phantom Thread got nominated instead. And I just loved that she was just like, I feel nothing about this. I'm just like, oh dear.
Yeah.
And she got
Like,
nominated.
Not important. So, Women Talking.
Women Talking, I can't speak to it, unfortunately, because I haven't seen it yet.
I didn't watch it.
But I do like Sarah Polley movies generally, but also I watched a trailer of it, and I can't stop thinking about my friend Matt Fisher from the X-Rated Pod, who saw it and wanted to like it so badly, but he's like, it's an ugly movie. Like, why does it look like that? And I watched the trailer, and it just makes you want to constantly reach for your remote and adjust the color. They just forgot to send it to color correcting for some reason. I can really see how that would detract from it. I kept thinking it would be like a Wizard of Oz thing where at some point everything would come into full color, but it never did.
Oh, God.
I didn't really notice that. I mean, I guess sometimes you might make the scene look more dismal because the situation is dismal. I mean, their situation is dismal.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see it?
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
It looks like a tough movie to watch.
It wasn't as tough as I thought.
Oh.
Yeah. There's some scenes where you see blood on the sheets or blood on their nightgown, so there's like implied sexual violence.
Mm-hmm.
There's not where you actually see violence happening. It's all very implied. It actually felt like a play. The whole thing takes place in this like barn where they're meeting. So one of the women came forward and said, you know, this person assaulted me. Somehow, I'm kind of foggy on this, but like the person gets arrested and then literally all of the men go to the town to bail the person out.
Oh, wow.
And they're given a choice. You can stay or you can go. All the women get together and have a vote over whether they should do nothing, stay and fight, or leave. It ends up with stay and fight and leave being kind of tied, but they decide they can't figure it out with a vote, so instead they nominate this little group of women to hash it out amongst themselves to represent all of the women. And so this is their discussion.
Okay.
They have a certain amount of time to decide because the men are going to be coming back and they need to decide before then. So some of the women in this little conversation want to stay and fight. Some of the women want to leave. They have some really interesting, deep discussion about why they would want to do one or the other. And then there's the school teacher for the colony is there to take the minutes of the meeting. So he's the one man that's like
and that's the Ben Whishaw character?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a very sweet character, but you know, that's just them. And then there's sort of scenes where you can kind of see kids playing, and there's other scenes where they're showing like things that have happened in the colony. I mean, it was intense.
Yeah.
But I wasn't watching it with like white knuckles. To me, it felt very much like a play. Because it is sort of like we're in this one setting and everything's just talking in lines, and I could see that being one that would win for screenplay. Because it is so dialogue heavy. It's just all about the dialogue. It's literally women talking.
Yeah.
In the end, are you okay with me revealing the end?
Yeah. I
So-
read the book, but I still don't remember.
Yeah, so they decide to leave. You know, it's like a big sacrifice for people. They're having to make decisions about like, are the boy children coming with them or are the boy children staying? Or some women don't want to leave because they don't want to leave their families. And then there's this kind of tension around like the men are coming back and they have to like get it together to like leave quickly.
Okay.
One of them, her husband comes back and like beats the shit out of her, and when they finally see her when it's time to leave, she's all beaten up. I was fully expecting him to kill her and her to not survive to leave, but she does. And then that's it. The movie ends with them leaving, and I was so mad because I kind of wanted to know what happened. You know, like, I was like waiting for that thing at the end of the movie. They're like, Joe went on to college. This person started a knitting collective, but we didn't get to see any of that. The narrator is like telling the story to someone, so it's a female voice narrating, telling the story to someone and saying your grandmother. So I think that implies that they survived a little bit, but yeah, you don't really know what happens when they leave.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, it wasn't fun to watch. It wasn't as wrenching as I think they could have made it.
Okay.
Like, none of them know how to read or write. That's why they need to have the guy there.
Oh, God.
In this colony, they have no other purpose
Yeah.
than to, like, be maids and baby machines.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also really clear that the like sexual abuse starts at a really young age, and that even some of the young boys are also start to participate at a certain point. And so that's why some of the women feel like it's really critical that they leave. Like they're just like, my daughter is 4, and like we need to get her out of here before this starts.
God.
And then the reasons for staying is all very like, you know, the Bible says we're supposed to practice forgiveness, and you know, they have some really interesting debate using biblical rationale for like, why forgiveness isn't the right thing, or like we can forgive but also remove ourselves from the situation, or it was good. I mean, I'm not offended by it being nominated.
I do want to see it. I wouldn't kick it out of the Best Picture bed, even without having seen it.
Seems like movies like that with Me Too, like the She Said movie, that was supposed to be like
that got really buried.
Yeah, it just seems like not a lot of attention on those kinds of movies.
Nope.
But I felt
not like men fighting and making movies, guys.
Yeah. I also thought Tar was a little bit of like this like anti-Me Too. You know, she's a woman, but she's completely like abusing these other women, leveraging her power in an entertainment field. Like women do it too, you know.
I don't know.
I didn't have that takeaway at all. But I also feel like, again, I didn't feel like that movie was telling people what to think about.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's true. I also wondered in that movie, actually, if she were a man, would she have been so destroyed?
Probably not.
Right? Yeah. So that also, I mean, it definitely raised questions for me.
Yeah.
Good art does. Like, I will acknowledge that there was some good art happening.
Yeah, I know. I almost feel like it was too good for my feeble brain. I really want to watch it again. I'm going to watch it again. We'll see what happens.
Funny if you like super hate it the second time.
We'll see. Okay, well, let's wrap up the Best Picture category by saying which one we think will win and which one we want to win.
I guess if I have to predict, I don't know. Maybe I think Everything Everywhere All at Once. It seems that has a lot of support for it.
You think that will win?
I guess. Either that or The Fabelmans will have some big surprise kind of push. That it seems a sort of like uncontroversial choice. And they still feel like they have to make up for him with the whole Shakespeare in Love for Saving Private Ryan thing. Way back.
See, that's a movie of his that I absolutely despise, so...
I just know he felt like very, you know...
I'm sure he did.
Oscar scandal that, like, Harvey Weinstein basically bought the Best Picture that year.
Yeah, that might be true. Definitely the wrong movie got picked, but that doesn't mean that his movie should have been picked anyway.
I mean, I'm not saying
Yeah, I know. This is Steven Spielberg talking.
Of the ones I've seen, if I had to pick a favorite, like, it's tough.
And you do.
I'm shocked to say this, but I'm picking Tar.
Oh my God, girl, I love it. I love that choice for you. I love it.
This is how much I really didn't think I was going to watch Tar. A couple weeks ago, Matt and I, in the middle of the day, watched Blue Jasmine. Just because I was like, because I'm not going to watch Tar, I'll watch a different Cate Blanchett Oscar movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love that movie. I always watch that movie. But just, that's how much I really thought I wasn't going to watch Tar.
That's very funny.
Like, I watched that as a concession instead.
I agree that it's probably between Everything Everywhere and The Fabelmans, and I really don't know which way they'll go, because I think it depends on how many of the actors from Everything Everywhere get awards, and I just know that they fucking love a movie about movies and making movies, and it's such a Hollywood story, and...
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff the Academy goes apeshit over, so I feel like it has a really good chance, but there is like this whole narrative about Everything Everywhere being this sort of little engine that could, which I would prefer that between those two, but obviously The Banshees of Inisherin is my favorite movie on this list, and I'd also be super stoked if Triangle of Sadness won, but I don't think it will.
I think like the top 3 contenders, like I think between Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, and I'm gonna throw in All's Quiet on the
All is Quiet.
All is Quiet.
That's the name now.
All Quiet.
All quiet.
Whatever.
All is quiet, guys.
All Daniel's quiet. It's all right. Y'all don't worry about this. It's like the out of nowhere war movie that it has won a lot of awards, so I guess I'm just like going.
But it's
off
also
of
up,
that.
it's up for international feature, so I feel like it's gonna go that way.
It's a shoe-in for international, and then they'll do something else for a Best Picture.
But I do see what you're saying. Like, if there weren't a movie about Hollywood in here, I would favor the war movie for the Academy choice anyway.
Yeah, I really love Banshees of Inisherin. I think it's gonna be Everything Everywhere All at Once. I just have a feeling that's gonna prevail. I've been listening to some interviews like with the actors. Michelle Yeoh was on WTF, and like just listening to her career, like she like broke her back on a film, and like she's been through a lot of shit in her 40 plus years of movie making, and I just feel like it's got that story.
I want that award for her specifically.
What was your favorite that you saw? Like your personal favorite if you were the Oscar voter?
I would probably do Everything Everywhere All at Once. I really liked it.
Okay.
It just made me think a lot about like the things that we assign meaning in our lives. Like the idea of family, but also the grass is greener where you water it. That's what is important. And I liked that message from the movie. What about you?
Well, I think that the winner will either be Everything Everywhere All at Once or The Fabelmans. I think those are the two top contenders. I'm torn about which one I liked best. I liked Everything Everywhere, but I really liked Triangle of Sadness. I know it has no chance of winning, but it is the one I had the most fun watching and that I thought was like really thought-provoking and interesting.
That's why we have two different answers.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare that the two intersect your favorite and what will win.
I have a heart next to Everything Everywhere All at Once, but then I have a little star next to The Fabelmans, because sometimes when I'm feeling really jaded, I'm like, ugh, the Fabelmans will probably win.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is like this kooky little movie that could, you know?
It
It's got
is.
this like nutty little random weird everything. The hot dog hands, that is so bizarre. But there's just so much in that movie that was really weird and mind-bendy. I could see where the Academy would have a hard time with it.
Totally. I guess this is kind of, we could trans-ish to director. Although, I mean, we'd kind of talked about all these movies, like you said. Amy said they pull those from the Best Picture. So I guess we could just say who we think will win and who we want to win for director, and I'll just say who they are too. Todd Field, Tar. The Daniels, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Martin McDonagh, The Banshees of Inisherin. Ruben Östlund, Triangle of Sadness. Steven Spielberg, The Fabelmans. And the award goes to...
You know, now that we've been talking about all this, my predictions are that Fabelmans is going to win for Best Picture and Director, and then Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to get the acting awards. I think that's where it's going to win. It's like Michelle Yeoh, how do you say her name?
Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh will win, and unfortunately, probably Jamie Lee Curtis.
Ooh.
I feel like she is going. I didn't believe me.
I know.
I wanted
We'll
less
talk
than
about that when
anybody.
we get to that category.
Yeah, we'll get there.
All right, but just
We're
on
doing director.
Okay, director. Who I think will win is Spielberg. Who I want to win, I guess, is Todd Field. I mean, I can't believe I'm all in for Tar like this.
Yeah.
I know. I'm shocked.
Such a twist.
I know. But also I feel good because it's like...
It's a bigger twist than the ending of Tar.
Yeah.
How much you liked it.
For me, the winner is the Daniels.
Sorry.
And that's who you want and who you think it will win?
You know, I would not be upset if anyone won. Except
I think
for
someone will
Spielberg.
win.
It's basically, there's a lot of the categories this year where I actually would be happy for whoever won because they were all really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have like a clear favorite in some categories, but I just decided a while ago that I'm all in for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and so I just wanted to win everything. Also, I think it's really cute that they're called the Daniels.
It is really cute.
And I want them to say, and the winner is the Daniels. I would like them to say that.
Instead
That would
of
be
saying
cute.
their full names.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'm on the Everything Everywhere All at Once train.
Whoop, whoop.
I want them to win, and I think they will win.
I absolutely adore the direction of Banshees. I adore a lot of it, but I think the direction is fucking solid. So that's who I'd want to win, but I think it will be the Daniels. If it's not Martin McDonagh, I guess I'd want it to be the Daniels. Or Ruben Östlund. I really thought that movie was very well directed also. Like anybody but Spielberg, really, honestly. Don't encourage that guy anymore. He's gotten plenty of encouragement. Okay, let's move on to actor in a leading role. The nominees are Austin Butler, Elvis, Colin Farrell, The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser, The Whale, Paul Mescal, After Sun.
Did you watch Feedback?
Yeah. And Bill Nye, Living.
What?
What?
Sorry, I won't do that every time.
That's okay.
You said you saw Living. What is that?
I did.
What is that movie?
Thank you for asking. I am dying to talk about it. Might it be one of my favorites?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I loved this movie. I loved
Damn.
it. First of all, it is an adapted screenplay. So he's like a government worker and he's just a cog, like, oh, we'll just put this file over here and like forget about it. And then he gets some sad medical news, given like 6 months to live, and so starts to have like a shift in his perspective. It sounds all very like, of course. That's not how it plays out. Like, he's very British. He's like not even telling his son that he's dying.
Oh, God.
And of course, every time they try to tell each other anything, they end up just being like, well, pass them mashed potatoes, Or there's just some like really great other characters in it. And I cried like sobbing cries for a lot of the movie. Sort of that thinking of like, how would you live your life differently if you knew you were dying? But then also like, well, because we are in real time right now. So there was just a lot of that. But I thought it was really good, and there's dialogue that feels like it's trivial or like mundane, but there's so much subtext in it. One person says this like 4-word sentence, but they don't know that for the other person there's this like whole bunch of history behind it. It just felt like there was a lot of weight behind things. You can like unpack a lot from a little. So my friend and I went and saw it today. We both were like, oh my God, I loved that movie so much. So I would be delighted if he won. I know he's the odds. I checked the odds today.
Seems not.
They can change though, lest we forget the Jane Campion trajectory.
True.
You never know what can happen
true.
between now and the 12th.
He could be like the Anthony Hopkins.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is
Oh
the
my
father
God,
or
that was
whatever.
such a-
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
I think when I was looking at the odds, it's like Brendan Fraser is so far ahead of everybody else in the odds. But yeah, the movie was really good. And like I've said, I pretty much like sobbed off and on the whole time. Like there was a moment in the movie theater where I was like, I'm like gonna audibly cry soon. But it felt good.
Yeah.
I know some movies you're crying and it doesn't feel good.
Yep.
It feels good to be sad. Anyway.
Yeah.
There was enough good in it. The sadness was nicely balanced and kind of like a
Cathartic.
cool, had a good ending. I just really enjoyed it.
You're making me want to see it now. It was not on my radar.
I have wanted to see it, but it's hard. You have to see it in theaters, and it wasn't in theaters for a little while.
Yeah, it was not anywhere last week, and I was so bummed about that. It's described as existential, profound, and compelling. I would say that.
I've heard it compared to Hal Ashby movies, so that's the first thing that made me want to see it.
It's streaming for like $4.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Oh, and one more thing about that film. So it is actually based on an Akira Kurosawa film.
Oh, wow.
So it's adapted from...
So that's why it's adapted.
Yeah, so it's adapted from the 1952 Akiru. And then that was apparently inspired by a Russian novel by Leo Tolstoy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's an adaptation of an adaptation.
So the screenplay is by Kazuo Ishiguro.
Oh.
That person is nominated for adapted screenplay, which I would love to see it.
That's great.
Wow.
So your pick for actor, you would like Bill Nye to win, and you think Brendan Fraser will win?
Yeah.
Is it correct? Okay.
That's my assessment.
All right. Gosh, I guess I think Brendan Fraser will win too. The odds in Vegas are kind of accurate a lot of the time. And that is the trajectory, and like we talked about before, the whole like, changing your body, but not really. It's not quite the Christian Bale, like I'm doing it in a healthy way. It's like, oh, you're doing it in a safe way, so you're still a beautiful person underneath. But of the movies I've seen, I thought Paul Mescal did a great job, but Colin Farrell in The Banshees was just phenomenal to me. He's a different character. I mean, he's such a little sad sack in this movie. I think he does a great job, and he's so expressive with his eyebrows and...
Yeah, he's got great eyebrows.
I thought he was really great in that. I mean, I feel like it's between Brendan and Austin. But I would like rather see other folks.
I know. What is Sophie's choice?
Like, it's not just that I think Brendan Fraser will win. There's like this part of me that wants him to win because he was so mistreated and he like stepped away and went through all this depression over the way he was treated. And I kind of like this comeback story for him. I just wish that it wasn't this film.
Yeah.
Just, like,
It could be just like a new start for him to be in movies that aren't so offensive to fat people, you know? Maybe find something that's a little bit more kind.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I see him getting all these awards and he's getting up there and he's crying. Like, oh my God, you know. I have not seen the movie, but it looks really bad.
I mean, I've read about it, you know, just to check. Obviously, like, I suspected that Aronofsky would not make a truly sensitive and nuanced film about being overweight.
What?
But
surprise!
But I read about it just to be sure, and yeah, it's absolutely not nuanced.
He plays a fat gay man who I guess wants to make his relationship right with his daughter or something. I read this article like in The Advocate, some gay actors talking about the story, and imagine like being a fat gay actor and auditioning for this role and then you lose it to Brendan Fraser because like Hollywood wants a name. Like,
and they want a comeback story, and they probably thought about that when they hired him. They're like, oh, it'll be a great comeback story for him.
You're right. They should hire a fat actor to play this part. But then there aren't any because sizeism is so extreme and horrible in Hollywood. You know, it's not that there aren't any, but it's a little bit meta because when they kind of try to defend it, like, well, it's like hard to cast the role. And I was like, well, maybe if Hollywood were more inclusive, you would have more people of size that you could audition, but you're so completely sizist. You know, this is a field that people are told is not for them unless they look a certain way and have a certain body type. So it's just kind of like this exclusionary kind of approach.
Yeah, like how do you get to be a name if there are no roles for you? And when there's a role that is something that you could play, they want somebody that people have heard of before.
And not always, right? Gabourey Sidibe in Precious was not a name. You know, like that was the movie that made her famous. But I also really remember a lot of the discourse about her and the part and why it was like this huge deal that she was getting so many accolades because she didn't look like how Hollywood typically wants people to look.
And she had a terrible time afterwards, too. Like,
she had a terrible time.
Everyone was like, okay, now you're famous, you're going to lose all that weight, right?
Yeah,
It's like, what the fuck?
In one way, I'm like, well, gosh, like, get a fat actor to play this part. But then I'm like, God, I kind of don't wish this part on a fat person.
Right.
Yeah, that's the second problem.
Let me just sit here and shame you for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And tell you how miserable
really,
you are.
Let's gawk at how disgusting this fat body is. Watch him eat himself to death. Like, I saw a clip of a binge with this, like, sad music, like, oh God.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's horrible. Like,
why?
I think you're right. You know, in however many years we'll look back on this and be kind of shocked that this movie even was able to get made.
Yeah.
Especially like all this, you know, there's all this research. Have you seen, there's been like a number of articles recently, you know, the Ozempic
oh, right.
articles,
People in LA are taking it.
Right. Like when your body just has a set point. Like it's a chemical thing in your body that it has a set point, and to try and move your body off of that set point, it's like a biological force you're trying to address. It's not willpower. It's not hating yourself. It's not any of these like judgmental things that we try to ascribe to people. And, you know, they're really seeing that with Ozempic because it's actually like taking the set point and changing it. And so that's why people are able to lose weight. They kind of get like turned off to food, but as soon as you stop, your body's set point goes back to where it was and you start to gain the weight back.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting with the research that we're learning right now about obesity and what causes it, that it's a biological chemical thing, you know. It's like any other thing that your body does. We just put so much judgment on it. It's just
calories in, calories out is a myth that was perpetuated for many years. And I mean, it was started by the BMI was started by eugenicists. There's all sorts of things. A Maintenance Phase is a great podcast to hear about all the dispelling of the myths about fatness and all the ways in which it's capitalism and it's eugenics and it's based on white statistics and white middle class statistics and fucked up, and we definitely don't need any movies perpetuating those myths, so fuck
we
off
don't need this
the
movie.
whale.
Right.
People are
So
happy
that's
because
how
they
we feel about
cannot
that.
stop. Like,
Yeah.
and isn't that sad and pathetic?
Ugh. And he's gay, so he must really hate himself. Oh, God, I hate it. So wait, did you say which your picks? Christina?
Well, I think Brendan Fraser's gonna win.
Mhm.
I think Colin Farrell is another really strong contender. And I do think Austin Butler does a good Elvis, but yeah, Tom Hanks in a fat suit in that one, playing the colonel.
It's just a bad movie.
Not
Yeah.
everybody could be Elvis, I guess, but I don't know.
Well, I would argue that he wasn't, you know? That's another part of the problem is like Elvis was somebody that had an inexplicable charisma to him, and it's just, it's impossible for an actor to emulate that, you know?
Yeah.
Or maybe somebody could, but I don't think he did. I think he did his best. I think he tried really hard. The movie was shit.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser will probably win, and then I would like Colin Farrell to win. I would be happy if he won.
I always think it's like less interesting to me when somebody plays a real person. I don't know why they love that so much.
They love
Right?
it.
I know.
And maybe it's because they have a measuring stick by which they can measure the performance. Like, oh, I was really convinced you were actually Freddie Mercury. It's
That
like,
was
it's
accurate.
so much less interesting than
I
being
totally
given a
agree
character
with
that
you.
you bring
Yeah.
to life.
Right.
I feel like that's more interesting as a viewer for me.
Totally. I guess, it seems like Brendan Fraser's probably going to win, and I don't want him to, because, I mean, he seems great, but I don't want to encourage this kind of thing.
Yeah.
In this category, the only ones I saw were Banshees of Inisherin and After Sun, and you totally had me sold on Living, even though I didn't see it. I know, I love Colin Farrell. I really liked After Sun a lot. I don't feel like I should have to choose.
That's all right.
I'm going to recuse myself from this one.
Co-winners. Both.
So as long as an Irishman wins, you're happy.
Yeah, if Paul Mescal's Irish.
He is.
No, all right, there you
They
go.
could be like Monet. Trinity.
He's Irish and he's doing a
And
pretty
both
good
ways.
Scottish accent, actually, in After Sun. I was very impressed. All right, let's move on to actress. Actress in a leading role: Cate Blanchett, Tar; Ana de Armas, Blonde; Andrew Riseborough, to Leslie; Michelle Williams, The Fablemans; and Michelle Yeoh, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Well, obviously Michelle Yeoh needs to win this one.
Yeah.
I really want her to win. I loved her the role. I mean, she's the lead for sure. She has huge range. She's playing like a gajillion different versions of a person.
Yes.
You know, she's playing multiple different roles. She's fighting. It's like touching. I thought she shows really great range. And also I just love her story of like her arc of her career. It would be such a cool thing to see her win this. I think it's kind of between her and Cate Blanchett as to like far as who will win.
You don't think Riseborough has a chance?
Oh, God, she was so good. I mean, better than Cate Blanchett, in my opinion. But no, I don't think she has a chance. I mean, I think
Yeah,
the
I think for her
controversy,
it's like, it's an honor to be nominated.
Yeah. So it's
hopefully we see her in a lot more things after this
Yeah,
because she's
she's
getting
great,
some,
you
you
know.
know, recognition.
I would agree that I think it will be Michelle Yeoh, and I want it to be Michelle Yeoh out of all these choices. Especially because what you were saying about how she plays all these different versions of herself in the movie, which is normally something if a white man does that, it's like, give him all the awards, you know? They fucking love that shit when a character plays different personas at once. So, yeah, I mean, if they don't give it to her for that, it's just racism and sexism straight up. That's what I think.
I support you. I support you.
For that particular role. I'm not saying the movie is the best movie ever,
I know,
but I
it's
just,
just
yeah.
acting like that'd be right, yeah. Like, some people just don't like this movie. It's not racism, sexism. But
No, I
get it,
I completely agree with you on that point, but yes.
I'm gonna go next. I think yes, she probably will win, and I feel like that's fine. I mean, my problem with the movie isn't her performance.
Yeah.
You know? Still, if I was voting, I would probably give it to Cate Blanchett. My grudge against this movie has nothing to do with her. Like, I think it would be lovely to see her win.
Yeah, I think Michelle is gonna win, and I want her to win, but I think Cate Blanchett was really good in Tar, you know, but then I kind of think like, well, she has enough Oscars, you know, it's fine.
Yeah, she already has.
I
Yeah,
agree.
and
Mhm.
she's like not.
She has two, and she'll have more. You know what I
Yeah, she'll
For
have
sure.
more.
She's not done winning
But
Oscars.
this was a
No.
really cool role, I thought, and it was kind of experimental, and
Yeah.
she nailed it, I thought. But Michelle Yeoh, and then kind of like the dark horse is Ana de Armas, because I don't know, Marilyn Monroe. People love Hollywood.
I know, I was thinking what you were saying, how they love when people play a real person. And Kate Blanchett's first Oscars for playing Katharine Hepburn. And
Right.
I think she's great. That's not like a favorite performance of mine of hers. That performance and then Blue Jasmine and then this one, like she's so different in all three of those roles. I'm really coming around to Kate Blanchett.
She's a fantastic actress.
Great.
Yeah, she works really hard. Like, it shows.
All right, let's go on to actor in a supporting role. We have Brendan Gleeson, The Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tyree Henry, Causeway, Judd Hirsch, The Fablemans, Barry Keoghan, The Banshees of Inisherin, and Ke Huy Quan, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Well, this category is super easy for me. I want Ke Huy Quan, and I think that's who's gonna win.
I do too, and I want that to happen for him so badly. I've loved him since I was a child. He was a child. Right? We were children together. He was in Indiana Jones. I watched it. Yes, that opened my mind to the idea that I could go on an adventure with an adult and I could save the adult's ass multiple times. Like, I just thought that was such a cool idea. It sparked the imagination of a young me.
Denise never said die.
Yeah, and he's the best part of that movie. He's wonderful. And I really like Brian Tyree Henry, and I want to see him on a lot more award lists in general. I think he's a fantastic actor, and I haven't seen Causeway, but he's so good on Atlanta. Talk about a character. He plays like a bunch of different versions of himself on Atlanta. He's just fantastic. The first time I saw the trailer for Bullet Train and he was doing a British accent, I was like, oh my god, is he secretly British? Because it was so good. He is not.
Wow.
Not secretly British.
So I have a question. Brendan Gleeson plays which role?
The
in
guy
Banshees?
who cuts his fingers off.
Okay.
Colm.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I like Barry Keoghan. He was somebody that I thought I could see him winning Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
Too bad everything is going to short round.
Yeah, I want Ke Huy Quan to win. He was just so good. Child actors, sometimes they don't make it to have a career later in life. And I love that he's getting his due. And he's my favorite for the Oscar. But I really liked Brendan Gleeson in Banshees.
Yeah, I think Ke Huy Quan will win. I don't begrudge him that. Again, I have to say I hate that movie. But
separate
I
from the
didn't
movie.
even know, just till like 2 weeks ago, I didn't know. Because I only saw Goonies like as an adult. And I never saw whatever Short Round is from. But I didn't know that was him until we were at that Bechdel casting.
Oh, wow.
So, like, fine.
Yeah.
I don't have any real opinion about this category. Both the guys from Banshees were fine. I didn't see the other two. You know, this one, it's like I almost didn't even really think about it because, you know it's going to be him.
It'll be a huge upset if it isn't, so that's for sure. All right, actress in a supporting role. We got Angela Bassett, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Hong Chow, The Whale, Carrie Condon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Jamie Lee Curtis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Stephanie Hsu, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I have to do my reaction.
It's okay.
You can splice them.
I personally would love to see Angela Bassett just as like a legacy award, because there's so many times when she should have been nominated and was not. I mean, I think she's super underrated in Strange Days, everything she does, but I think she's so
She's
great.
been nominated before, though, right?
I was
Like,
just
for
wondering, Tina,
the
what's
Tina
Love
Turner
Got to
thing,
Do?
everything.
She should have won.
But has she ever won?
No.
Yeah, see, I love that for her.
God, I don't even want to say that I think it'll be Jamie Lee Curtis, because the idea is so horrifying to me, but it might be. Like a dark horse that'd be really fun is Stephanie Hsu, because I think she's such a standout in that movie for me. Just like talk about charisma. Oh my god. She's amazing. And I really like Carrie Condon. Who knows? My answer is that sadly it'll probably be Jamie Lee Curtis, but I hope that it's dark horse Stephanie Hsu, but I want it to be Angela Bassett, so that's my complicated answer.
I have decided that really it's for her Activia commercials.
Yeah, I want Angela Bassett to win, and I think she will win.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's exciting.
I mean, she's won other stuff this award season, so it's not like it would be out of nowhere if she did win.
Yeah.
I think she got a Golden Globe.
Yeah, I think so. I liked Wakanda Forever. A lot of people didn't like it as much as I did.
I thought it was great as a Marvel movie. I'm just kind of tired of those at this point. But I really like what they're doing with it, which is that at least they're showing Black stories in Marvel movies.
To me, it was a movie about grief and how people walk through a grief journey when they lose somebody who they loved. And so I saw it over Thanksgiving with my family, which was our first Thanksgiving without my mom. So I just cried through the whole thing pretty much. But they spent so much time on T'Challa's funeral, which they didn't have to do. You know, like if they were just trying to do a Marvel movie, they could have been like, here's the funeral, let's get to the action. But they wanted to do a true homage. And so they spent a long time on that. I just thought it was really interesting how Queen Ramonda has this kind of different grief journey that she's walking when compared to Shuri.
Yeah, and I really liked how that was a conflict for them that they had to get over together. I thought that was interesting.
And I thought it was really well done with not just honoring T'Challa, but also honoring Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
As T'Challa, they did a good job in how they handled that.
Yeah, I want Angela Bassett to win. I just thought she was really great in it. But Carrie Condon, I really liked her role in Banshees of Inisherin. That's kind of who I'd be really happy if she won. But also, I'd be really happy if Angela Bassett won, and I think Angela Bassett's gonna win.
Oh, nice. All right. I was thinking that Jamie Lee Curtis would win, but I mean, I would love for that not to be true. I wrote probably Jamie Lee Curtis, should be anyone else. I didn't see Black Panther, but I love Angela Bassett. I have never liked a Marvel movie. I've seen maybe 5 or 6 and have never liked any. It's not my thing.
I mean, it's definitely a Marvel movie. It is
Yeah,
definitely an action, but that wasn't
of
my
me
favorite
seeing
parts
it.
of it. You know?
Yeah.
It was meh.
Yeah, I never have liked a Marvel movie, but it's not the acting. But
Right. They always get really good actors for those things.
I know. That's my kids always. Because, we'll be watching something and Logan will be like, who's that? And then I'll be like, okay, they're in blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh, it's so-and-so.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm like, it's the guy from Knives Out. And they're like, okay, that's Captain America.
No, he's the guy from...
He's in Knives Out.
Yeah.
He's the guy from Scott Pilgrim.
I know. He's the guy in Scott Pilgrim.
It's called a grind bro. I still say that all the time.
Right. Yeah, but now I feel like it'd be kind of funny if Stephanie Hsu won. But I'm excited. I didn't know that Angela Bassett was a probable. So good for her. I love her.
I don't think they do it anymore because they want to save time on the broadcast. They used to like show a clip.
Yes,
From each
right.
nominee, and I think Angela Bassett's would be when she's facing the UN.
Yeah.
That was an amazing scene.
Where is her treacherous husband now? But in a place where she can visit if she wished. Mine! It's with the ancestors! I am queen of the most powerful nation in the world, and my entire family is gone! Have I not given everything?
I know. I mean, that's kind of a lost term, the Oscar clip.
I thought they still did it for acting, but I could be wrong. We'll find out.
I can't remember, but I do feel like they're
Emmys,
cutting
I
stuff
think,
weirdly
stopped
for
doing
time.
it. It's like maybe they could cut for time, all the weird, stupid montages that they do for no reason.
I know.
I know.
Right.
Cut
There's a
their
lot of
dumb,
bullshit they could cut out.
But don't cut the remembrance.
No.
The
They
in
cannot.
memoriam one,
All right, no, they'll never.
I live for
But
that.
all the other montages, they
So let's just quickly speed through the screenplays. Let's just say what we want to win in each one. So original screenplay, Banshees, Everything Everywhere, The Fabelmans, Tar, Triangle.
I'm gonna go Triangle of Sadness because I don't think it's the screenplay that really makes Tar so good.
Yeah.
So Triangle of Sadness is.
Good answer.
Oh, thanks. Finally, I got a good answer.
I feel like earlier I had a really strong opinion about it, but now I'm like, oh, I don't know. Banshees of Inisherin or Triangle of Sadness?
Yeah. It's a good category.
My vote is for Banshees of Inisherin. I love the dialogue in it.
Yes.
It was just so good. They said a lot without saying a lot. That's my vote.
Mine
wrote it
too.
in my notes before I got here. Banshees was
Yes.
my initial.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
I think it's a perfect screenplay. So, yes, definitely Banshees. I think it's so fucking well written. It's amazing. Adapted screenplay. All Quiet on the Western Front. Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, which I think is only an adapted screenplay because it's a Knives Out mystery, which is mysterious. Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking.
A lot of editorializing.
Sorry. I'm a little upset by this adapted screenplay category.
This is a rough one. The only one I have seen of this is Glass Onion, and I did not care for Glass Onion. I thought Glass Onion was sort of like a fun movie to watch, but also a bad movie. I feel like I already said this, but it's like Rian Johnson, his first goal isn't to tell a story. It's like that's his second goal, and his first goal is to make sure that the right people like him at the end of this movie.
Ooh, wow. I love that take. I really like that too because I really like it as an entertaining movie, but there was something a little empty about it, and you verbalized that, so thank you for being so smart. I haven't seen Living. I really do feel like I would like it a lot, just based on everything I've heard. And then maybe Women Talking, because it seems like the dialogue is the best part, so I guess I would pick between those two movies that I haven't seen.
Yeah, I think it's between, I don't know, who wrote All Quiet? It's some, like, famous guy, right? Really?
The book, you mean?
Yeah.
Or Eric Maria Remarque, I think.
Okay, I don't know. I just have this...
But that's not who get the award for this adapted screenplay.
Didn't adapt the screenplay.
It's, like, such a famous book, and I just have a feeling that's gonna win for some reason. But I would like for Sarah Polley to win for Women Talking, and she was slighted in the directing. I feel like people that get slighted can sometimes pick up a screenplay award.
That's true. Like, yeah, The Legacy. I've liked her movies in the past quite a bit. I think she's very talented.
I think it'll go to Women Talking. Because like you said, it's like it kind of got slighted in other categories, but it is literally a film about talking, so the screenplay is kind of the most important thing in it.
Yeah.
But I really liked Living, and I really did think that every line has stuff behind it and under it and subtext and context, and not in that way that you're like, I can't keep up with what's happening. I'm going to go with that would be the one that I would want to win. I agree, like Glass Onion was really entertaining and I enjoyed it, but it was a little like maybe style above substance. And then All Quiet on the Western Front was just like torture.
God, I totally thought it was All's Quiet. I don't know why.
It is now.
All's quiet on the Western Front.
All's quiet.
All's quiet on this Western Front, guys.
Come on, nobody picked Top Gun? I'm surprised.
I would say, like, Tom Cruise, he blows things up. He doesn't like to use, like, CGI. I don't know.
I know he's a movie star. I know.
He's a movie guy. I don't know.
He's a big movie star. If he weren't basically the second president of a very terrible cult, maybe I would be able to look past that and see some of his talent, but no.
Yeah.
He's a bad person.
Yeah, no, I'm not disputing that, I guess.
Team Nicole Kidman all the way. We come to this place for magic.
Oh God, I've seen that enough times.
All right, we have to do last thoughts because my children are texting me and need to come.
Usually kids would just be like, we're staying out.
Yeah, no, not my children are tired, and your children are tired. I don't know. We have responsible, sleepy children. They don't like to party till... Let's just wrap up the Oscar pod by saying the one thing we're most excited about on the Oscar broadcast.
Well, I read that Colin Farrell is bringing his son as his date, and they are going to have matching outfits.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
Isn't his son like an infant?
He has two. He has two teenagers. Yeah.
Okay.
Barry Keoghan has a baby.
Either way,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to visualize it in my head.
I just, Colin Farrell is just so earnest and like, he just seems like he's a good, he loves being a dad and
what a journey. I know. He had a troubled youth and he really made up for it, and oh my God, I know. That's my answer too, Colin Farrell, just seeing Colin Farrell, because what a sweet, wonderful man.
Like, he's going to be so excited to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see, I feel like Cate Blanchett is just going to look amazing. I always like to see the Best Actress nominees in their gowns. She's just so breathtaking. She's such a great movie star. It's like a real old-timey, old Hollywood glamour. So
She really does. She's high fashion without even trying.
I love the red carpet. I always have this struggle with my friend who hosts our Oscar night because she has a life and wants to do things during the day and sort of get together in time for the Oscars. And I'm like, no, I need to be able to come over at 2:30.
Yeah.
So I can watch the entire red carpet in real time.
The pre-red carpet and then the red carpet.
It is not the same without Joan. Oh my God.
Joan Rivers?
Joan Rivers, thank you. Like totally like. I think the thing I'm most excited about is if they do the song performances, I'm interested in seeing the Natu Natu performance because I've heard that that's like this huge giant like Bollywood style dance number. That's,
Oh,
like,
shit,
total,
yeah.
So it would be really cool to see that. I think tomorrow I'm gonna actually go see RRR. They're having like a thing at SIF.
That's awesome. Let us know how it is, because I just learned about it today. So
Yeah, it's 3 hours long, so it's an investment.
everything is 3 hours.
Yeah, the movies were so. I wish we had more time
don't like
because
movies
honestly,
that
they were
go
so freaking long this year.
Yeah.
The thing is only 1 hour and 48 minutes.
Ooh.
Yes,
A normal
I
movie.
like
A hot 140.
Like, don't give me these like editing awards and your film is like 3 hours.
Yeah. Oh my God. I know. You should.
Try some editing. There's not even any editing in here.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
I hear you on that. And every time it's like a fucking long movie, I'm like, I could have a crack at it. I can cut some stuff out.
I can tell you what you didn't need in here.
Yeah. Ugh.
Also, are you going to see more between now and the actual Oscars? Or was
Well,
your
I think
goal
I'm going to
today?
watch Living.
Yeah, I think I'm going to cram that in. And Women Talking, I'm going to
What you guys
see.
think about that.
So
I
I could-
also enjoyed Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. So if you need a palate
okay.
cleanser, if you're like, I just watched All Quiet and now
That won't happen.
if for whatever reason you decide.
Maybe Women Talking will be a little sad.
Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris is like kind of a fluffy film. She's like a cleaning lady and she falls in love with this Dior gown and she just like saves up her pennies to go to Paris to buy a Christian Dior gown and it's in like the 40s or something. You know, so it's like when you go to the fashion house to get the thing. And like, you know, like people are super rude. They're like, who are you? But she meets people along the way and she just has such like a zest for life that people want to help her be nice. And
That's charming.
it is
Yeah.
very charming. There's like a whole little like romantic vibe in there too, and yeah, it's cute.
Looking it up.
Not stressful. There's nothing stressful about it. Lots
That
of
sounds
beautiful
great.
dresses. You know.
That sounds up my alley.
Yeah, it's a good one. I watched it after. I try to like, I'm gonna watch All Quiet, and then I'm gonna watch Puss in Boots. You know, or like, but the hard part is you don't really want to watch the downers.
Yes.
So I end up with where it's just like all downers. So I try to specifically save ones that are light, so that I don't get stuck with a bunch of downers at the end.
I started doing this thing where I watch a little bit of a movie and I come back to it later.
Well,
And that
because
works
they're
for
3
me.
freaking hours long.
Yeah.
I know.
You have to make your own intermission.
I watched Babylon.
Oh, God.
That was so bad.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
Wow.
Yeah. But I also didn't watch it in one sitting. Like I took a break and came back to it.
Bite
And,
sizes.
yeah.
That's how I do it.
And that I also did that with To Leslie. I did To Leslie in like 2 chunks. Busy
To
at work,
Leslie.
working really late this week, so I kind of like, didn't have much movie.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Denise. That was so great.
I wish we had more time and we
I
could
know,
talk
I'm
all
sorry.
about all the other categories. Exciting things happening in here.
We could do a wrap up. We've never done that before, where we're like, we talk because
That would be fun.
like we didn't know anything about all the shenanigans from last year. So
Yeah.
True. What could be a shenanigans?
let's do a little. Let's get back together for a shenanigans pod. Yep, I love it.
Fun.
All right. Until then, if you enjoyed this episode of Paid in Puke, please take a minute to rate us highly on your preferred podcast listening apparatus. If you did not enjoy this episode, no further action is necessary. Paid in Puke is hosted by Annie Malone, Christina Barr, and Jessica Baxter. Music by Silent Partner. Follow us on Twitter at PaidInPukePod, on Instagram at PaidInPukeSeattle, and on Facebook at Paid in Puke Podcast. Thanks for listening.
Lick it up, baby. Lick it